30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Goff takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes. This game is over! Pack it up, boys! We're going home! An opening night victory for the Lions!
Dan Miller, Lions Radio. It was overtime last night. We got a little bit of everything yesterday. A lot of sloppy play, what you'd expect in week one, but the nightcap delivered, Pearl, and the Lions offense eventually took over this game in overtime with a really nice drive, but that was an interesting one. I was expecting them to really come out gangbusters. They got their offensive coordinator, retained him and Bobby Slowick. They got everyone back. They've got this great offensive line. Ben Johnson,
yeah,
probably.
Same
but Slowick
person.
is,
I totally understand what you're doing.
Same guy, same haircut. But the offense was not what I was expecting from the Lions. I was expecting a well-oiled machine here.
How on earth can the offense do anything when they're all on the sideline watching Matthew Stafford carve up your... The Rams had 26 first downs. The offense would have been great. It was never on the field. Their DBs are so bad. They let up every single pass. The Rams just weren't able to score. For some reason, they dominated offensively. So I don't agree with that characterization of the Lions. The Lions are just different. They're going to be a run team, and they have the best running back in the NFL and a throwback. Jahmyr Gibbs is... there were so many plays where he was down and he just got those extra 2 yards for the first down. He is a secret weapon. I'm not worried about their offense. I'm worried about their DBs. How many passes did Matthew Stafford complete to keep them off the field? I feel like they gave away the game because they were up, 17-3?
Yeah.
They had the game, and then Jared Goff threw a dumb interception because he's not elite, and Matthew Stafford was just unstoppable. I don't know. It was a fluke win to me, because I felt like Stafford should have won that game. I walked away and said Matthew Stafford was the best player on the field. He should have won.
Well, I walked away with two things about the Rams. Number one, are they going to make it through a season?
Oh, they're dead.
They can't stay healthy. Everyone keeps going down. This started in training camp. They lost more guys on the offensive line last night. And beyond that, Stafford was taking hits last night, too. Aiden Hutchinson was getting to Stafford. They mentioned it over and over again on the broadcast, but it felt like, to me, he's the toughest dude. That was like a late season kind of performance where you've got to hang in the pocket and you've got to complete these throws because everything around you is kind of falling apart. It's week one. Like, are we sure? Puka Nacua left the game last night, didn't return.
2 linemen.
I get worried for the Rams that they're just not going to have enough healthy bodies. You're right. Stafford was quarterbacking his butt off last night.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
But the Rams threw the ball 50 times, which is kind of weird. A lot of short passes. Cooper Kupp.
50 passes to get 20 points. That's not...
No. Well, they were... I threw out a stat at halftime. They had 13 first downs in the first half and had 3 points. It was...
deep red zone and turnovers.
Yeah, it was that. Exactly. You're right. But Cooper Kupp, remember that guy? He's back in full form. Oh, my God, is he good. I know Nacua is out, but it feels like the two of them are just going to alternate being awesome. I'm really not sure
if they can stay healthy, though.
But the Lions have a flaw. Their back four is not good.
Right.
There's
They're
no
starting
doubt
a
about
rookie back there, too.
Yeah,
Terry and Arnold.
But he's a first-round pick, and they had 2 pass interferences in the end zone. But, man, they have a formula with the run game. With David Montgomery will pound it, then Jahmyr Gibbs is the special sauce, a little thunder and lightning, if you will. They are... To come away with a win and not play well. Yeah. Because Jared Goff was on and off, I think, throughout the game. And Jameson Williams emerging as a weapon, they're interesting to me. I understand what you're saying, like the offense didn't look perfect, but maybe you can win now. Nobody could pass the ball on Sunday. It was preseason week 4.
It's crazy.
Nobody could. So maybe
and the amount of penalties. Oh my gosh! If I see one more false start, I feel like I'm going to throw my remote through the TV.
Well, what's the lining up illegally? What's that called? Illegal.
illegal
procedure, whatever.
Procedure motion.
Oh God, the
formation.
flags ruined Sunday. But honestly, most of them were good calls. I usually complain about officials, but everyone was grabbing and holding and tired, and the quarterbacks, nobody could even hit 200 yards yesterday. It was a sad day. I think the Lions come away feeling good about themselves. The Rams would feel good about themselves, but everybody's hurt. It's going to be one of those seasons.
I hope not, because the Rams are actually very fun to watch,
Definitely.
And that is a team that you and I believe both picked to make the playoffs this year. I did.
I
actually picked them to win the NFC West.
I came down to the Rams, and I'm not even going to say it. The Bears. I think I might have picked the Bears,
Yeah.
but I'll double check that.
You might want to check on those gold jackets for this 2024 rookie quarterback class.
I
We'll
feel
get
good.
into that a little bit later.
It's 1 week, Maggie.
I believe you said that they were going to be comparable to 1983 with how many quarterbacks they're going to get in the Hall of Fame.
Jaden Daniels looked good.
A little garbage time stat padding there.
Oh no! He looked like a pro the second he walked on the field.
He can run. He can get them first downs.
He was actually pretty good in the first half. I just tell you, the Commanders just got a lot of penalties. He was balling.
Balling. He played. He can run. He can definitely run for first downs. That's important. But I mean, you got to at some point find your best receiver. That's Terry McLaurin, and they could not get him the ball. That happened a couple times yesterday.
That's because 7 guys were running around with Terry McLaurin.
Maybe that's it. We've got so much to get to. We start things off with, if you missed it last night, maybe you fell asleep, maybe you're working weird hours. If you're listening to us this early this morning, it was overtime last night. Thank you, Week 1, because I thought the overtime rules were still left over from the Super Bowl. I thought both teams were going to get a possession, so bad job by me. Turns out if you score on the opening drive, you score a touchdown, the game's over, and that's exactly what happened with the Lions last night. And I thought it was more like a fatigue win.
Definitely.
The offensive line for the Lions, you and I disagree. I think they're very good. I think they're probably the best in the league from side to side.
Maybe. I mean, the Rams did hit Goff a few times. There were some blitzes, too, that were part of that. I don't know. I didn't feel like Goff was comfortable back there.
Really? I mean, I don't know how much more comfortable you can get. You have one of the best tackles in Penei Sewell. You've got one of the best guys in Frank Ragnow. I mean, the fact that we know all these guys' names on the offensive line means they're pretty damn good.
You thought like Goff looked like in a pocket and in the zone? Like, it was very rare.
I did not think that he was in a rhythm, but I think the offensive line is a strength of their team, and I think that they showed that in that overtime drive where they just ran the ball right down the Rams' throat.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that was the offensive line. Like, how many times was David Montgomery hit and just ran for 5 more yards as a running back? I think Gibbs broke so many tackles and got. How many times was Gibbs pinned behind the line of scrimmage and got a 4-yard gain? I see what you're saying, but Goff was 18 for 28 for 217. This might be the worst game he'll have all year. He is. Because he's got so many weapons. He didn't even use Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta at all.
I know.
His 2 best weapons. It was all Jameson Williams. I feel like the Lions kind of are a powder keg in the sense their offense, as you kind of started with, can be much more explosive.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. I feel like the people who have the teams, who have the luxury of having all your guys back, basically your core and your offensive coordinator, like, you should look like you've all played together before a little bit more. I mean, not to be too overcritical, they won the game, but like, I'm watching teams around the league getting used to new offensive coordinators, getting used to new left tackles, getting used to new number 1 wide receivers, and you could tell that it looked choppy. I thought the Lions were going to look a little smoother, but again, they win the game, so I'm not going to nitpick super crazy.
Not to get too global, but a lot of teams were playing takeaway. Like, the Rams kept them off the field by tons of short first downs. And the Cowboys did that too. Like, tons of short first downs. Like, if you can keep the ball in your hands, you're going to neutralize the other quarterback. So I think that's a little bit of what happened with the Rams' short passing game. I mean, listen, the Rams, I don't totally understand why they never hit many explosives. Like, where were those?
Well, I think it's because Matthew Stafford was he did a great job, but he was under duress. He
hit 34 passes. At a certain point, I would think the Lions would start creeping up, and then you go pass them. But they're like, we're going to give you everything. We're going to give you everything. And it turned out they were losing 2017 with time running out. I mean, they easily could have given that game away at home.
855-212-4227. We're taking your calls all morning long on what you saw from your team today. We're going to try to hit everybody. We have lots to say about every single game and what we saw from college on Saturday as well. So we've got a full show for you. If we're talking about winners and losers from the weekend, which is not a segment we're doing right now, I'm just going to raise my hand. This girl. Big loser.
What
Big
happened?
loser. No, not my Buffalo Bills. They won. We'll talk about them later. Big loser this weekend, me.
Why?
I thought I was 2 hours away from pay dirt.
On what?
I lost a bet to you this weekend, Pro.
Oh, that one.
And this one's going to hurt. Not sting. This one doesn't sting. This one's going to hurt. And when I mean hurt, I mean how the level that my stomach is going to have to expand to try to eat all the waffles that I now have to eat because Dak freaking Prescott signed the biggest contract in the history of the NFL 2.5 hours before the season started. I thought I was home free. I thought if he doesn't sign before the game kicks off, then he's not going to sign during the season. He's not going to be the Cowboys quarterback in the future. You're going to lose the bet. You're going to have to go to Waffle House and sit there for 24 hours. Yeah. You're the one who's going to have to eat all the cheese omelets. And I was going to be just sitting on Easy Street. And then the news comes down from Schefter. And when I tell you my stomach dropped because my stomach knows what's coming.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be torture.
No, it's not. It's waffles, Maggie. You don't have to eat something disgusting. You have to eat one of the best foods there is.
Okay, but I'd rather eat 4 bites of tuna jelly with green olives in it, and then it's over. I got to sit at a Waffle House for 24 hours, and for every waffle I eat, it takes 1 hour off of the time. This is like a torture chamber. I've got to be there all day.
That sounds awesome. Get a book, some syrup. Yeah, just sit there in the booth.
Who reads?
It sounds like an amazing time. First of all, you have a young kid at home. You're going to get a break. Sit in Waffle House, talk to nice people, eat waffles.
You think they're going to let me go to the Waffle House alone? My kid's definitely going to want to come.
He could, yeah, but he's not going to sit there for 16 hours.
He sit there for 16 minutes.
I'm pegging you for 8 waffles to get down to at least 16. 16 hours.
Do you realize how much waffles that is? I'm putting down like 4,000 calories of waffles. More. 6,000. What am I talking about? 4,000. That'd be a scot-free. That's a Sunday. This is bad. And you win, so congrats to you.
I had this bet won twice because if the Cowboys didn't sign him, they definitely would have overpaid next offseason. The way the Cowboys are, they were going to give Dak Prescott a lot of money. Once again, the Cowboys strategy of waiting too long and overpaying, I mean, it's as consistent as anything in the NFL.
Well, congratulations. They looked great yesterday because the Browns are awful. They looked great yesterday.
I don't know. I don't want to overreact, but that Mike Zimmer defense with that talent level, but Overshawn, oh my God, where did that guy come from? I know where he came from, but I don't know if that was on the Browns. That might be the Cowboys are nasty on defense. Micah Parsons, he was not quite TJ Watt level, but he was good.
Yeah, but this is the perfect kind of game for him. He's great. Now, I'm not going to, of course, he's awesome, but this is a perfect kind of game for him because you're playing an opponent who's trailing the whole game.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was 33-10, right? 33-10? 33-17, pardon me. It never felt that close.
Oh, well, yeah, the 17 wasn't real.
No, that's not a real number. The Cowboys were dominant. Well, we have a lot to get to on that game.
Almost 50% of his dropbacks got to Watson. That's crazy. 1 out of every 2 times Watson was under full pressure.
It looked it. Turns out he doesn't handle that pressure quite well. Because against pressure, Watson, 5 of 17 for 22 yards. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean,
ooh.
No offense, but there's not a single quarterback alive who would have been able to quarterback the Browns yesterday. Were not. Both tackles were gone. They were not blocking the Cowboys at all.
You're right. And honestly, again, we've covered a lot of ground here in this first 13 minutes of the show, but what's Tom Brady looking at? When you're praising Dak Prescott.
He's pondering.
Excuse me, you're praising Deshaun Watson. Praise Dak Prescott. He deserved it. He had a great day. Signed 40 million?
40.
240. He's making $60 million a year and then goes out and wins week 1. Good for you. Dak, good day. Me, bad day. Tom Brady praising Deshaun Watson. I didn't get it. What is he looking at out there? He's Tom Brady and I'm me, but I didn't see it.
I don't know if he was praising him the whole time. I mean, definitely his pre-show notes that praised Deshaun Watson. I don't think he praised him at the end at all.
Well, he's like, yeah, now he's getting into a rhythm. I'm like, getting into a rhythm. Game's over.
Wow.
Okay.
That's funny. I came away, Deshaun Watson was bad, but like that's the least of their problems. Like they can't. They need an offensive line. Like, what happened?
Both tackles hurt.
Hurt? I mean, there's no chance they're going to be healthy for this year. Yeah. Anyway.
We've got so much to get to. We just dipped into what we saw last night. Overtime win for the Detroit Lions. They beat the Rams. We got a little into the rookie quarterbacks. Wouldn't exactly say it was a gangbusters day, and Caleb Williams looked rattled. And we got a little into the Cowboys. Banner day for them. They signed Dak Prescott to the big extension. He's the quarterback for the future, at least the next 4 years. And they got a resounding win in Cleveland. 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. We'll get to you early and often. We still have Pittsburgh to get to. We have more Cowboys to get to. We've got everything in front of us on this Monday. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff. All right, everybody. This is serious. Sports fans, you got to listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. So that's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening.
I was scrolling through my calendar today, realized we missed a major holiday. Andrew's birthday came and went. Oh no, we're a couple months late, don't you know? Happy birthday, Perloff. Happy birthday to you. We're just a little late, but our wishes are true. We hope your day was awesome, even though it's past. We're celebrating now, and that's gonna last. I'm feeling guilty, feeling blue. Forgot my own bro's birthday, what am I to do? But Maggie reminded me, and now we're on the case. Better late than never, with a big smile on our face. We're not the only ones who are MIA. Peter Pilati's always out, it's just his way. He's always working from home, or so he claims. But we're starting to think he's just playing video games. Yeah, Pete, if you're listening, we're on to you. We're celebrating Andrew's birthday, and we wish you were here too. Happy birthday, Perloff. Happy birthday to you. We're just a little late, but our wishes are true. We hope your day was awesome, even though it's past. We're celebrating now, and that's gonna last. We'll get up to you with cake and with cheer. A belated birthday party that's crystal clear. We'll sing and we'll dance and have a blast, cause when it comes to birthdays, we're never a gas. Happy birthday, Perloff. Happy birthday to you. We're just a little late, but our wishes are true. We hope your day was awesome, even though it's past. We're celebrating now, and that's gonna last. We'll make it up to you with cake and with cheer. A belated birthday party that's crystal clear. We'll sing and we'll dance and have a blast, cause when it comes to birthdays, we never gas. Happy birthday, Perloff. Happy birthday to you. Well, we're just a little late, but our wishes are true. We hope your day was awesome, even though it's past.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We are sifting through the wreckage of Week 1.
Rubble.
So, I mean, I had an incredible loss bet. I just still can't believe what happened there. And the quarterbacks were generally awful, but it's kind of also preseason Week 4. I got that vibe in a huge way last night and all day long on Sunday.
Which was the worst bet you lost?
Well, the Titans. I couldn't believe in that situation. They're up 17-3 with 4 minutes left in the third quarter. Teams in that position were 61-1-1 against the spread in that exact spot. It took an imaginative, creative set of plays by Will Levis to lose that game. Because the Bears, if he had kneeled every play in the second half, the Titans walk away with a win. But instead, miraculously, he decided to do that. It's a new coach. I feel bad for this guy, but Levis is going to sink him hard because the defense is really, really good. They put a ton of money into it, and they're still going to win 4 or 5 games.
Can we just hear what this looked like? Will Levis with this ridiculously ill-timed interception led to a pick 6 for Tyreek Stevenson, and just pay close attention to the color analyst. It's actually Mark Sanchez kind of calls it in midair.
On 3rd down and 6, here they come. Gordon's coming. Levis gets wrapped up, flings it ahead. It's picked off. Tyreek Stevenson will give the Bears the lead on another defensive play.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Mark Sanchez has done that before, been there before. Oh, no. That was before he even threw the ball. He's like, oh, no, don't do it.
I mean, can you come back from that lack of situational awareness? Is it done for him? I know that sounds so ridiculous because I just said it's preseason Week 4, but I have a bunch of friends in Nashville, and they're like, this is bad.
Well, the fact is, like, he lost you the game. A lot of circumstances lost you the game. But the Bears defense was playing well, but it's not like Caleb Williams was doing anything.
Honestly, should have taken a knee and just put it in Caleb Williams' hand. That was the best thing that could happen to Tennessee. Amazing loss.
Let's go to the phones, 855-212-4227. We're trying to pack a lot in today on this Reaction Monday. Josh is in Pennsylvania, has a question about the Rams lost in overtime last night. What's up, Josh?
Hey, we didn't use Corum a single snap last night. What in the world were we thinking if we're going to draft him in the 3rd round, at least play him a handful of snaps?
Interesting. That wasn't my big takeaway because Kyron Williams was your leading rusher, 18 carries, 50 yards with a touchdown. I mean, he wasn't like explosive. I'll give you that. I guess I didn't think about that, Perloff. Blake Corum getting a no snaps yesterday.
Okay, so I was too tired and missed it. I was actually reading the box score today.
Yeah.
And I saw, for some reason, was there a Hail Mary or something that Blake Corum got into the game? Because I saw him with a defensive snap.
Oh.
Double check this. Maybe there's another Corum.
I don't think there's another Blake Corum.
Yeah. Hold on. Vamp for a second.
Yeah, there is. He is in the box score with one defensive snap.
What would that have been? Because the Lions didn't have the ball last. They didn't throw a Hail Mary. Why on earth was Blake Corum on there on defense? Help us out here.
Josh, why was Blake Corum out there on defense?
I didn't recall that, but was it like a special teams play? Maybe like on a punt return or kick return?
He's not the only guy who's out.
Yes.
Ronnie
right.
Rivers was also out there for defense.
Of course it's special teams.
Yeah,
does that register in the stats? I guess it does.
I don't know, but do you know that?
Or he was on the field for it.
For a kick return? And
Yes.
So that's defensive. Okay. Well,
yeah.
He touched grass, Josh.
Well,
He had a tackle. That's what it is. You have to have a tackle on special teams to register defensively, and he did. So there you go, Josh. I mean, isn't that how you envision the guy who single-handedly won the national title? He's going to be a special teams ace.
what's hope? What's hope after last night?
Could have used him against Texas over the weekend, Josh. Thank you so much for the call.
But why
Everyone
do you,
wishing he had stuck around for another year.
Why do you had 26 first downs on the game? You dominated. They could not get you off the field at all. So why do you even need Blake Corum? To be honest, you had Matthew Stafford carving them up all night long. He was dominant. I don't know how they only got 20 points. It still surprises me. They need an explosive element. Look at his stats: 34 for 49, 317 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But they had the ball for 35 minutes to 25 minutes in regulation.
No,
they should have won that game.
Stafford is great. You nailed it a couple years ago. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. You're absolutely right about that. I think people appreciate him now more than ever because of how tough he's always been through his career. And he stood in the pocket last night. I just don't think he's going to survive the season.
You're right.
If their offensive line, it's like you and me out there playing guard. That is not okay.
Yeah, and he's tough enough to stand in there, which is probably not a good thing.
Quickly, Ronnie's in Alabama. He's got some thoughts on tonight. Good morning, Ronnie.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm a diehard 49er fan, but I want to say that I am nervous tonight. I don't know why I think the old man Aaron Rodgers has something to prove with the weapons that he's got and the awesome defense.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to ask you guys a question. I'm going to hang up and I'll listen to the radio. Does he torch me bad tonight?
Ronnie, let's get the crystal ball out. Thank you for the call. I would be worried if I were you. This is a very good Jets team on paper. It's not just Aaron Rodgers. They have a lot of good players. They won 7 games with Zach Wilson last year. And to be honest, I feel like the whole thing with the 49ers, I know this is not like real football analysis. It's just been a weird vibes off season for them. I still think I wouldn't be surprised that Super Bowl hangover is still lingering in that building.
Yeah, I'd be surprised, though, based on what we saw yesterday and based on what Nick Costos told us on Friday, that guys who didn't have a preseason, quarterbacks, generally start out a little rusty. I feel like the Jets might make this an ugly kind of low-scoring game based on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure this is going to be the full Aaron Rodgers experience. If I was the Jets, I'd run a lot.
Totally.
He might be a little rusty. So don't you feel like this could be an ugly game where both defenses are the story of the day?
I want to almost guarantee it's going to be an ugly game. Yeah. And the other part, too, is after watching some of the receivers outside of CeeDee Lamb, who really didn't have a training camp, but they were dominant. Dallas was dominant in their win against Cleveland. You know, Jamar Chase didn't do a lot yesterday. I think even the wide receivers who didn't have a training camp, you're seeing those guys start a little slow as well. So, yeah, offensively, I don't think this is going to be that much fun.
Right. The caller said, will Aaron Rodgers rip us up? I don't see that happening.
I don't think he's going to rip them up.
No, I think the Jets will be conservative. But, I'm betting Jets tonight. Because of what you just said, I feel like the Niners, especially Trent Williams, just coming back.
That's a good point.
There's a ton of reasons to think the Niners are going to be a little bit rusty tonight.
Over-under in this game is 43.5. So that's not a very big total at all.
Pretty low for two supposed Super Bowl contenders.
Exactly. So everyone's expecting this game to be kind of a tight one. San Francisco is favored by 3.5. I'm with you. I would take the points as well. Andrew Bogish has headlines for us this morning. What's up, dude?
Good morning, everybody. Those headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. Dak Prescott got paid. Tyreek Hill put in handcuffs. Kirk Cousins, Will Levis suck. The Bengals lost at home to the Patriots. But it all pales in comparison to receiving the answer to our biggest unanswered question. Kendrick Lamar will perform at halftime of the Super Bowl in February.
Wow, that was our biggest question. Tyreek Hill in handcuffs. We still don't know exactly what happened. We'll unpack everything we have on the Dolphins wide receiver. Very eventful pregame drive to the stadium.
Yeah.
But Kendrick Lamar.
Wasn't that a little early? Do we usually get the halftime performer on the Sunday of opening week?
That got buried. I was surprised.
I was wondering if somebody put it out there before they were supposed to, because I feel like this is a week 3 or 4 thing usually.
somebody hit send on the tweet when they're like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, I mean, also too. I mean, obviously Goodell chose sides between Kendrick and Drake. That's
surprising.
very clear.
East Coast, West Coast. Goodell.
A little shot of Canada there is what I saw. That was a power play by Goodell.
It's funny. Every single country in the world's getting a game. Canada, no.
Yeah. And Drake, no thanks.
Yeah, it is funny. They're right there. They used to get Bills games, but not anymore. It's like, we're going to go to Brazil. We're going to go to Spain. We're going to go to Germany. We're going to go to frickin' Abu Dhabi. We will not go to Canada.
They have gone to Toronto, haven't they?
Not since the Bills used to go there.
Yeah.
We're talking, that was a decade ago.
Yeah, EJ, are you excited? I know you're a big Kendrick Lamar fan.
Hugely excited. I mean, we're talking about our first solo hip-hop act for the Super Bowl, which is amazing. And it's incredible to me because this is the first time ever, obviously, where a rap beef led directly to a Super Bowl headliner. As great as Kendrick Lamar is, I don't think there's any chance he would have been picked had he not had this feud with Drake, which he won so decisively. So shout out to him and shout out to the hip hop culture for allowing this to be a possibility. Some fans are upset that it's not Lil Wayne because Lil Wayne's, of course, from New Orleans, and that would have been a great moment. But to get Kendrick Lamar to this moment, all from rap beef, is just, again, whoever thought hip-hop would take it this far. Shout out to Biggie.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jay-Z is now in charge of the halftime show, so maybe that has a little something to do with it, right? But this reminds me of the Simpsons quote. Perloff, I know you're a huge Simpsons fan.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're like, stop, he's dead. He's already dead. It's like Drake. He's dead. You killed him. You killed him in the beef. It was all summer. Every famous person who mattered picked Kendrick Lamar, and now he gets to do the Super Bowl halftime. Stop. He's dead.
When Krusty killed the Hamburglar.
Exactly.
That's what happened.
I'm wondering if we're actually going to hear Kendrick Lamar play Not Like Us, which was the #1 hit of the summer and is a song about Drake.
You can already bet on it, by the way, that yes, he will play that song.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so too. But I mean, again, going back to history, have you ever seen a diss track performed on the Super Bowl stage? I mean, that would be history as well. And I think he kind of has to, right? That's why he's there. That's the only reason why they picked him.
You don't remember 96 when Nas performed Ether at the halftime of the Super Bowl? I'm just kidding. Tom Petty was that year. Bogish, what else is going on in the world?
Actual football, a pretty wild first Sunday, ending later than planned in Detroit.
Goff takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions. This game is over. Pack it up, boys. We're going home.
That's Dan Miller, Lions Radio. Follow him to the exit. Detroit finally winning 26-20 over the Rams late last night on David Montgomery's 1-yard run halfway through overtime. The Lions winning after wasting a 17-3 lead. They needed Jake Bates' 32-yard field goal with 17 seconds left just to force extra time. Dan Campbell relieved to be 1-0.
You know it's not going to be perfect. You just want it to be cleaner. You just want it to be cleaner than it was. That's all, even for the first game. But ultimately, it's always going to be about we got to get better. And whether we won or lost today, we got to get better. And we won, we still have to get better.
As for the losers, the Rams saw Puka Nacua exit with a knee issue, and they lost 2 more offensive linemen. Josh Allen did something to his left hand in the Bills' 34-28 come-from-behind win over the Cardinals.
We'll find out. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a doctor. But just kind of landed on it.
Yeah, jumping over a defender on his second rushing touchdown of the afternoon, and it's a quick turnaround for them Bills and Dolphins on Thursday Night Football.
Wait, will we get this later, but Maggie, you think it was necessary for him to act like Superman all game?
He's going to have to do even more Superman stuff this year than he normally has, which I actually thought, I'm like, maybe Josh does win MVP this year. If he can stay healthy, maybe he does win MVP because it's going to look like he's the whole offense because he might be.
But I mean, I think you have to look skeptically at running quarterbacks. Like, yeah, I mean, can Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, and Josh Allen run at will all year long? I think at a certain point, like this is what happens. If you run 10 times a game, you're going to get hurt.
No, I get it. But the first touchdown for Allen, he kind of lowered his shoulder because he was going against a corner. This time it's Budda Baker. Like I get why he jumped. I wouldn't want to take him on. And they needed every bit of Josh Allen. And by the way, the Bills should not even have won that game yesterday. Yeah. If I'm a Cardinals fan, I am sick, absolutely sick that they did not call a defensive penalty on the final play of the game. The last two throws, definitely the last throw.
Yeah.
They should have had first and goal at the Bills, basically at the end zone with about 30 seconds left to go. You guys know I'm a Bills fan, but I am sick if I'm a Cardinals fan. They got 100% robbed. They should have walked out of there with a win.
Also, Kyler Murray could look right and see Marvin Harrison Jr. open by 30 yards circumference in the end zone.
He was a rumor yesterday. That's not good for Arizona.
Help me out. Why are you not kicking everything out of the end zone?
I don't know.
I mean, honestly, the Bills lost that game. I mean, there's no way. The Cardinals didn't do a single thing on offense the entire second half.
But DJ Dallas returning the kickoff for a touchdown, and everyone's making a big deal about it because of the dynamic kickoff. You're absolutely right. They were saying Tyler Bass, the kicker for the Bills, was trying to get out of the end zone. The wind was so bad
is that what happened?
It ended up landing in bounds. So
I mean, honestly,
again, you're the kicker in Buffalo.
Yeah, like once again, a little 13 seconds Chiefs vibe. Like you handed that, you made it a game because of special teams. And DJ Dallas isn't even that fast. I was like, catch that dude.
Let's quickly recap all this Tyreek Hill drama. As you probably know by now, the Dolphin receiver pulled over, detained by police just outside Hard Rock Stadium yesterday morning. Miami-Dade PD has put one of the officers involved on administrative duty while a full investigation happens. Teammate Calais Campbell says he was also put in cuffs after pulling over to help Hill. The SEC owns 6 of the first 7 spots in the new AP college football poll. That is something a conference has never done before. The 6 of them includes Texas moving up to number 2 after winning at Michigan. The Wolverines are now number 17. Here's one way to snap a 3-game skid.
Here's the pitch. Pavin swings. That's belted. Deep left field. Alvarez turns, locks. It's gone! A grand slam for Pavin Smith. The man has driven in 7.
The grand slam came after a 3-run homer. It was followed by a solo shot, so Smith had 3 homers and 8 RBI in 5 innings last night in Houston. He did nothing after that, but the Diamondbacks still won 12-6. They're now a half game behind the Padres for the top wild card spot, with San Diego losing to the Giants 7-6. And Yannick Sinner with a straight set win over Taylor Fritz in the U.S. Open final yesterday afternoon. Sinner becomes the 4th man since '88 to win the Aussie and U.S. Opens in the same year, while an American man still has not won this event since Andy Roddick in 2003. Guys, back to you.
And those were the only 2 famous people at that entire final. Just kidding.
Yeah.
It was. I don't know if anyone else's timeline got a little taken over by.
Wait, what do you mean? Taylor
Swift and Travis Kelce were at the
I thought you were talking about Flavor Flav wearing a pink suit in the first row.
Definitely wasn't talking about Flavor Flav.
Which you should have been. He dominated this entire U.S. Open. He was awesome. And the camera found him. Trust me. Every time I flipped over, I hate the U.S. Open being on. We could all agree that it's the first Sunday, week 1 of the NFL. Why are they not? Bogus, you're a big tennis fan. Wouldn't you have them move off that Sunday?
Well, they tried Mondays, and I don't think it worked.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah.
Well, they had a couple rainouts several years ago, and it would get pushed to Monday. So they'd be playing like 4 o'clock in the afternoon before Monday Night Football. I don't think they love that. They'd finally put a roof over the stadium so that you wouldn't have rainouts anymore. You're going up against week 1 of the NFL. Good luck to you.
I mean, it's kind of like the hockey debate. Like, the audiences are the audiences. Like, there's only so much like pushing and pulling and fighting you can do. Like, you can't play it at 9 in the morning. You can't play it Saturday night. Even the women's final isn't on Saturday night anymore because of college football. It's like they just have to play it and let tennis fans watch it, and who cares about anybody else?
What if you moved it up a week, though? Sorry.
Oh, I know, but then you got to move the entire hard court schedule and all that stuff. But here's the thing. I kind of disagree about the morning because everyone loves breakfast at Wimbledon. Am I right, guys? I know Ryan's getting up early for that.
No.
Breakfast at the U.S. Open.
Breakfast at Wimbledon.
And you beat the traffic if you're actually trying to go. Because I think that...
TV product.
Playing in your backyard?
But here's the thing. I think that casual fans would tune into this. Like, I think that if it's a compelling story, if you had, say, Francis Tiafoe is a little more of a crowd favorite, if he had been there, I think you do pull in the casual fan.
Yeah, I would have watched it early, for sure in the morning, but I'm definitely not watching it week 1 of the NFL. If Tiafoe was there, then I would have been tempted to flip over a lot. And by the way, your girl tried really hard.
I know.
Pagula.
Jessica. Down goes Jessica.
I mean, she just was the worst player of the 2. I got to work on
That's
her.
That's going to be a problem.
Because of the timing, I watched a lot of her. Her serve is Honestly, I was like, wow, I think I could hit her second serve back.
It's just so weird when Buffalo loses a championship game.
I know. Thank you, Bogus.
No. She's a great story. She's really cool.
Yeah, rich kid does well.
Now,
I think she's
the
awesome.
fact that her parents are NFL owners, famously.
Yeah.
And that she's not, there's no silver spoon about her. Like, she's a hard worker. Like, that's the only reason she's there.
Well, you can't cut, that's not going to help you. Your parents being a billionaire helps with the training and all of that stuff, but when you're out there all by yourself, it's just you. I mean, no one's going to get you out of bed at 5 a.m. You've got to do that yourself.
Right. And she's more of a grinder than a talent player, I think. But wow,
Down
didn't see a
goes Jessica.
Didn't see a tennis breakdown coming on the Monday after week 1 of the NFL. That's the problem.
And you
with the US
started
Open.
it.
Yeah, because I know Maggie was a near professional level tennis player because she went to a camp where there were professionals. Am I correct?
And I got beaten by them badly.
And I know, Bogus, you claim to be a tennis expert. Not a tennis expert.
You claim to be a tennis expert because you watched it this year for the first time in 2.5 decades.
Everyone always says Bogus loves the tennis.
I do love tennis. You're the one making tennis proclamations left and right on and off the air the last 2 weeks.
I played tennis as a kid.
I know.
Yeah. I was on the 7th and 8th grade team and played 1 year of JV in 9th grade and then said, nah, I'm good.
You're good.
JV tennis team?
What's that? Yeah, I was. Good question, EJ. Yes, Lower Marion High School did have a JV. Did have a JV tennis team.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, that's not true. There's other schools. I'll find this. There's an NFL player who was a varsity tennis player. I saw this.
Oh, I
LA.
once saw the defensive lineman for the Ravens. Who was the guy who was so good? Bryant McKinney. Once saw him on a tennis court. He was amazing. He got to everything. The guy's 350 pounds.
Yeah.
He was moving out there like he was Rafael Nadal.
You know what? He's the best athlete in the NFL. Let's redo last week's great debate. Put him in the mix. He could have been.
His ground strokes were beautiful. 855-212-4227. Okay, football. Let's get back to it. How about this? Atlanta Falcons had to go to a silent count yesterday in their home stadium because the Steeler fans were that loud. We'll break down everything else that happened, too, with Justin Fields under center while Russell Wilson has a calf issue. So much to get to. It's Maggie Perloff.
Was a nerd. Ernest was the football star, always being heard. But forget about the past, let's get to Pete, the guy who skips work like it's a track meet. Ernest Pendleton, thought you were the king, but Perloff's the one who's doing his thing. Speaking of kings, let's talk about Pete, who never shows up, his presence is beat. Lottie's got a gift, it's called disappearing. When it's time for work, he's nowhere near it. Out sick, on leave, or on a special trip, but showing up on time, he just lets it slip. Ernest Pendleton, thought you were the king, but Perloff's the one who's doing his thing. And speaking of kings, let's talk about Pete, who never shows up, his presence is beat. Lottie's got a gift, it's called disappearing. When it's time for work, he's nowhere near it. Out sick, on leave, or on a special trip, but showing up on time, he just lets it slip. Ernest Pendleton, thought you were the king, but Perloff's the one who's doing his thing. And speaking of kings, let's talk about Pete, who never shows up, his presence is beat. Clocking in, he might just pass while Perloff's here working, kicking some class. Lottie's the master of the great vanishing act. One day he's here, then he's gone, that's a fact. While Perloff's on the grind, putting in the time, Lottie's MIA like it's some kind of crime. Ernest Pendleton, thought you were the king,
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Here we go, Steelers chant coming up as Cousins gets the snap. Looking, TJ Watt gets there, and TJ Watt slings him down on the play that will end this game. TJ Watt bows to the crowd, kicks up the leg, and finishes off this victory for the Steelers.
That was Rob King on Steelers Radio. This was a game that had a little bit of everything. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So the biggest takeaways here is TJ Watt's amazing. He made life very, very difficult for Kirk Cousins yesterday. And Kirk Cousins' debut wasn't exactly gangbusters. It turns out, doesn't matter who the coach is of the Atlanta Falcons or the quarterback, it is really hard to get these skill players involved in a way where the offense actually seems like it can be explosive, even though there was one, I guess, really nice touchdown throw to Kyle Pitts. But with the amount of talent on paper, you'd think Atlanta should be way better. TJ Watt had other things in mind, though.
Doesn't matter for Atlanta. All they have to do is get to that NFC South schedule, and they'll be fine. They could lose all these games. I mean, 9-8's winning that division. That's a fact. So I'm not so scared of that loss. I'm being honest. Big long term, doesn't really matter.
Okay, well, I watched
they're going to win the division.
Put up 47 yesterday. We'll talk about that. And I saw the Bucs looked pretty good yesterday.
So I don't know when the Saints and the Falcons play, but it'll be week 18 and the Bucs. You saw the Bucs look good, but do you see any of those teams being elite? This division is stuck at a 9-8 winner, and I would not count Atlanta out. The Bucs played the Commanders, who gave away all their veterans in the offseason, and the Saints played the Panthers. So Falcons, I understand the defense. I mean, the offense looked clunky again. Preseason week 4.
Yep. No
Kirk Cousins had no
preseason.
Yep. And TJ Watt was possessed by the
amazing.
devil. He had 2 strip sacks that were taken away because of penalties.
Did either you or I pick him for Defensive Player of the Year in our predictions? What's wrong with us?
Well, I think I picked Micah Parsons, who also made a case. I am going to go farther than Defensive Player of the Year. I think you have to consider him to be the first defensive MVP since Lawrence Taylor in 1986 because he feels like a quarterback on the field. Like you're like, who do the Chiefs got? Mahomes. Who do the Cowboys got? Prescott. Who do the Steelers got? TJ Watt. He is that dominant, and the camera is on him the entire game, just like a quarterback.
Can he stay healthy for an entire season? We know
1-11
the Steelers are when he's not on the field, but he was on the field yesterday. He was disruptive yesterday. He was excellent. Now, the biggest thing about the Steelers, they win the game 18-10, I believe was the final score.
No touchdowns.
Yeah, no touchdowns. Great. Here's the thing. This was a quarterback battle that dominated training camp, and it was all about that. Well, we're not getting a resolution probably for some time. So Russell Wilson couldn't go because he had a calf injury, yet Russell Wilson out there, full uniform, full pads and warming up. Like, oh my gosh, guy, tone it down just a touch.
Nope. That'll never happen.
I mean, come on. You're out there with the shoulder pads on. You were not playing. You were ruled out.
Let me introduce you to Russell Wilson, Maggie. This is the least surprising visual of the entire season. Of course he was wearing pads. And I did like the haircut. Nice and tight. You look good.
He's going a little bald on the top. But
isn't he technically listed as the emergency quarterback still?
Was he?
Isn't that a rule where the third quarterback can be inactive but also dressed just in case?
That's crazy because if he's not good enough if he's not healthy enough to play, he shouldn't be out there, right?
Yeah.
It's a good point. So Mike Tomlin after the game said he's not going to make a decision until Tuesday about who the starter is going to be. Justin Fields, the problem is, Perloff, he's had these moments where the door has been sort of kicked open for him to go and just take this job. But I wouldn't say that he was dominant in any way yesterday. 17 for 23, 156 yards. He is good with his legs, 14 carries, 57 yards, but he didn't grab a stranglehold of that job yesterday. It is very much alive for Russ.
Same old Justin Fields, just cannot. There's a mental block about letting it rip. And there's a lot of plays. He had 14 carries, right? That's too many. He's got to just run the offense. I don't think people say he has trouble seeing the field. That's been the criticism. I honestly think that he just doesn't have confidence for some reason in himself to let it go sometimes. There were some plays where he could have thrown the ball and he just didn't. But that kind of works with Mike Tomlin's offense. And again, this is week one. He might get smoother. I didn't think Justin Fields was bad, but he just frustrates me because I'm like, you have a great arm. Just go out there and let it go, buddy.
I know. He did find George Pickens for six catches for Pickens for 85 yards, but the offense just doesn't move. It just doesn't move. And
again, partly by design. They had a lot of plays where they could have run pass plays where they ran the ball just to control the game. So I think Mike Tomlin likes to win. 18-10, I mean, on his gravestone, that's going to be Mike Tomlin won the game of life 18-10.
Yeah.
That is a perfect Steelers score. They wanted to keep it conservative. I think they knew they had Kirk Cousins' number. They could not block Watt at all. So, again, if they needed to open it up a little bit, they might have gotten to 23 points or something, Maggie.
Let's hear from Justin Fields yesterday. He says the mindset for him is to always stay ready.
I was just, I always just have the mentality to be ready. I've been in this situation before in my rookie year, so anything can happen. So I just always have the mindset of, be ready and, just be ready for anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a weird season. I think this is going to be a thing where this calf issue may just sort of linger for Russell Wilson, who's in his mid-30s, and this thing has plagued him since he literally did the conditioning test at training camp where he's pushing a sled, and that's where he injured the calf. And I don't think it's just going to miraculously get better. So I think you're going to see a lot of flip-flopping here, and Justin Fields is right. He better stay ready because I don't think I think it's going to be week to week, quite frankly, with this quarterback situation.
I don't know if there's the equivalent of blood spinning or some kind of Kobe Bryant move that Russell Wilson can do.
Can't get to Germany now. It's the season started.
I don't know. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce seem to be globetrotting every weekend. Why can't Russell Wilson?
You can't get to Germany. You need the bye week for that.
Okay. Well, he's got to do some. Can't you put some kind of shot into that calf? Honestly, I said before the season I would play Russell Wilson because I think he can run a little bit more of the offense. I think it's really close. Either way, they're going to get, again, I said someone's going to win the NFC South at 9-8. The Steelers are going 10-7. It is just written in the stars.
I don't know about 10-7. I think the quarterback thing is going to be an issue all year. And
yeah, it was last year too. What was their record? I assume it was 10-7. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, but
what is different about the Steelers team, Maggie? It's been very consistent the last 5 years.
Kenny Pickett's not even a starter in this league anymore.
He really even shouldn't be second string. He's terrible.
The other thing is Kirk Cousins going to make it through the season? He took a couple. I mean, obviously, T.J. Watt, we said, was in his face all day long, but yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Michael Penix because Kirk can't get away. That's the thing about the Achilles. And Kirk was never fast anyway, but he's sitting duck back there.
Absolutely. Steelers last 3 years, 9-7-1, 9-8, 10-7. It's coming, Maggie. Mike Tomlin's streak cannot be beat.
Coming up, who had the best day amongst all quarterbacks yesterday? Give you a hint. Not only did he win his game, he's a whole lot richer. Get to the Cowboys next. Maggie and Perloff.
so smooth. Junior varsity tennis, he's got the groove. Lower Marion's pride, a rising star, but Ernest still bullies him from afar. And it tells he'll never be great, but Perloff's still winning, sealing his fate. The word is notes him day and night. There's something else that just ain't right. Where's Peter Bellotti? He's gone again. Didn't show up, it's driving us insane. Missed another day, he's MIA. Peter's ghosting work and it's not okay. Forget the tennis, forget the score. Peter's out the door, can't take it anymore. Perloff's fighting bullies with all his might, but Bellotti's vanished like he's taking flight. Oh, Peter Bellotti, where have you been? Every time we look, you're nowhere to see. Skipping out on work, it's your favorite trick. Peter's disappearing, not just getting fake. Where's Peter Bellotti? He's gone again. Didn't show up, it's driving us insane. Missed another day, he's MIA. Peter's ghosting work and it's not okay. Oh, Peter Bellotti, where have you been? Every time we look, you're nowhere to see. Skipping out on work, it's a favorite trick. Peter's disappearing, not just getting there. Whoa, whoa, oh, Peter Bellotti, he's gone again. Oh, oh, every time we look, you're nowhere to see. Skipping out on work, it's a favorite trick. Peter's disappearing, not just getting there. Where's Peter Bellotti? Lower Marion, where the crunch shine bright. Andrew Perloff's got game day and night. He's a star on JV, got the skills to pay, but Ernest Pendleton still got something to say. Perloff's got the racket, got the move so sweet, but Pendleton's got the mouth, can nobody beat. He's a bully on the court, but Perloff won't give in. He's a tennis superstar in his own skin. Perloff serves it up with a twirl and a spin. Pendleton's got a comet that's always within, but Andrew won't let it get him down. He's got his eyes on the prize in this tennis town. Perloff's got the racket, got the move so sweet, but Pendleton's got the mouth, can nobody beat. He's a bully on the court, but Perloff won't give in. He's a tennis superstar in his own skin. But wait, was this a sudden change of pace? We're not talking tennis, we're talking workplace. Peter Bellotti's MIA, didn't show up today. His boss is on the phone, where's Peter, what's to say? Bellotti's got the absence, got the no-show flair, but his boss is on the case with the "you're fired" air. He's not a tennis star, just a slacker supreme. Peter Bellotti, where are you? It's time to be seen.
Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
3rd and 5 at the 21, so they're not in the red zone
Not
yet.
there yet, but they're knocking on the door.
Last year, Cowboys were number 1 on 3rd down offense, Browns on defense. 3rd down, Prescott back, looking deep to the middle. He's got a man all alone, tap at the goal line. It's Cooks for the Cowboys' first touchdown of the year. Brandon Cooks.
Bradshaw, Cowboys radio, dominant performance. Final score doesn't really tell the story. Dallas wins 33-17 over the Browns on the road, Perloff, but it was dominant. Like, it was never that close or didn't even feel close at all. Welcome to the show, by the way. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, so glad to have you. Good to be Dak Prescott on a day when he signs the biggest extension in the history of the NFL. Yes, you heard that correctly. The history of the league. He becomes the first $60 million man in NFL history. He goes out and looks very, very good. I wonder if all those Cowboy fans that jumped off the bandwagon after the loss to the Packers in the postseason, Pearl, are back in and sucked back in by what they saw yesterday.
Oh, I don't think they jumped off. Cowboys fans are capable of instant amnesia. By April, everybody loved Dak Prescott again. Do you notice this offseason, Dak Prescott got a lot of positive press. It's like the Packers game never happened. So I think everybody was kind of waiting for this. My sense over the last week, a lot of signs came out of Dallas that this was going to happen. The contract, Jerry went quiet at the end. I promised to get a blue star tattooed on my forehead because he said, I'm not going to talk about Dak Prescott anymore. So that was a lie, of course. But Jerry started giving signs. Here's the thing. If you actually look back to this offseason, did Jerry ever say anything mean about Dak Prescott? He said nothing, but I want this guy on the team. So maybe in that case, we should have listened to Jerry Jones because he followed through. And now that he signed the deal and he won week 1, it felt all very inevitable to me.
Let's hear a little from Dak Prescott. Can I hear cut 26, please, Nick? This is Dak talking about the contract and just how last minute this thing all happened.
I've told you guys before, I don't necessarily play. I don't play for the money. I think when you focus and you control what you can control, things like that just happen. So, yeah, I found out probably an hour honestly, probably 20 minutes before it was, publicized to everybody else.
Right, 20 minutes before. And then, this thing happened about 2.5 hours maybe before the game kicked off. And, the game was a 4 o'clock game. It happened about 2.5 hours before the 1 o'clock games kicked off. So he had a little bit of time to sit with it. But that's got to be an incredible day. Also, it's amazing when someone says, I don't play for the money after they just signed the richest deal in history. What a luxury to be able to say, the money doesn't even matter to me, guys.
Well, he already has $150 million in the bank.
Yeah.
So, I don't even know why he was bothering with this contract. What do you need? He can't spend that money in 3 lifetimes. There's no state tax in Texas, Maggie.
Somehow I think he'll find a way to spend some of it. Here's Dak Prescott talking about the only motivation he has left.
It's my only motivation. Hold up my part of this deal and just deliver that. That's my motivation.
And he's talking about a Super Bowl there. Here's the thing. If history is any guide, you just signed Dak Prescott to a big extension, and congrats, he looked really good, but you're not winning. Dak has shown that he can't win in the postseason. We've seen this game 100 times. I'm not trying to downplay it or poo-poo it. Good for the Cowboys. They should feel good about this because they never had a plan B. But talking Super Bowl, don't fool us. We all have seen that in the biggest moments, unfortunately for Prescott, he's come up rather small.
True. Very true. The NFC, I think all the contenders have flaws. Jordan Love just got hurt, for example. The Lions secondary looks awful. The Eagles are a mess defensively. The Cowboys and the Niners have all these contract issues. The Cowboys on paper should be right there. And
they will be. Bro.
They've had actually little set. Remember the game where they beat Tom Brady in the playoffs?
They did. That was a great one.
They've had moments.
Sent Tom Brady into retirement for real.
I know. I can't believe I'm doing this. But, hey, I'm not completely counting the Cowboys out in the playoffs, which will come back to burn me. Listen, you just look at their depth chart. I know they have young linemen, and hopefully Tyler Guyton will get a little better to tackle. But that defense looked amazing. And it looks like they really know how to draft defense now. They have rookie cornerbacks coming in. They have linebackers coming out of nowhere, new edge players. They really look speedy and tough on defense.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer getting a lot of praise from Tom Brady on the broadcast yesterday. And Eric Kendricks looking very good until he left the game, I think, momentarily. But he was there's definitely a difference here. And I think maybe it had a little bit to do with the fact that when you are playing with a lead as the Dallas Cowboys, that's when Micah Parsons can really do his thing. And he always has to be accounted for. But when you have Deshaun Watson, who's got to drop back and pass because he's in 3rd and 8 all day, I mean, that's where you can really tee off. So it's a credit to the Dallas defense. They looked very, very good yesterday. And Deshaun looked terrible. I mean, that's on the other. This is the flip side of the coin, and we'll talk about the Cleveland Browns. This could end up being the worst contract in the history of the NFL, and I don't even know what the close second would be.
Russell Wilson, but yeah.
Russell Wilson, but let's see him play. I mean, maybe Russ has still got a little something left in the tank. Deshaun Watson, Andrew Brandt is the former agent and worked for the Packers and is sports business like royalty. He said this is the hardest contract to trade or cut in the history of the NFL. Deshaun Watson is the quarterback for the Browns like forever. And he sucks.
One more thing about the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Remember the name DeMarvion Overshawn. There's a highlight out there you can see on social media. It's like a bullet train.
Yeah, he was hurt last year.
Yeah, towards ACL. He was a star at Texas, and he is going to be another star. It's funny, they lost a guy, Sam Williams, who I thought could have been a star as well in the preseason. They have defensive players. I'm telling you, this team is going to be 12-5, Maggie. Well. It was actually, in a way, the most predictable week because they look kind of like last year. And Ezekiel Elliott looked like he had a little juice. To me, that was a big deal. They used the run game a lot on Sunday, which they've gotten away from under Mike McCarthy. I feel really good as a Cowboys fan today. Again, you're right. We'll see it come playoffs, but we can't ask for more in week 1.
What is the ceiling for the Cowboys, I think, is the question after you've seen this game. And, they look good. The defense definitely looked great. But you know what? The defense looked really great last year. We were comparing them to the 85 Bears and the 86 Giants and stuff like that.
We were?
Yeah, I think
they were,
so.
Well, I mean, when they played the Giants.
Well, Micah Parsons, Lawrence Taylor situations going on, no?
I don't remember. I mean, it might have been because they played the New York Giants, who they completely own. But I remember the Eagles dropped like 40 on them. They're good. I think they're much better this year. When Deron Bland comes back and he's a ball hawk, I think if you nailed it.
Trayvon Diggs is back.
Yeah, you nailed it. When Micah Parsons has a lead, he can really go to town. But he played well even early in the game. He's great. I think that they should be excited. Maybe I'll be buying into Tom Brady a little bit. Tom Brady made it sound like Mike McCarthy was Vince Lombardi.
He was putting over McCarthy, to use a wrestling term, a lot. And he's like, McCarthy's just calling this brilliant game. It's like, yeah, it did look good. You're right. They used the running game. They had 3 running backs, and they were rotating them in. And I thought it was a pretty, I would say vanilla. That was a normal, CeeDee Lamb made a couple of great catches. I didn't see anything that was so revolutionary from the offensive side for the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't understand the heaping praise. But again, they did neutralize Myles Garrett, who really was not a factor yesterday.
I mean, they dominated this game. You can't say enough nice things. It was in Cleveland. A huge factor was Cleveland's 2 tackles being out. So Cleveland didn't have a chance from the second they got an offense. You see, something's wrong here. And it was also Deshaun Watson was terrible, no doubt about that.
Yeah,
the combination. There's a lot to be determined about that. I'm very bullish on the Cowboys right now. I feel like they are going to be a really high seed in the playoffs and blow it.
Well, that's not going to help anybody. That's the same thing that always happens. So I think the question is so Dak is now signed. The $231 million guaranteed obviously beats Deshaun Watson by $1 million. And he signed for $240 overall. It's a 4-year deal. It will kick in after this season. It's, it's a lot. Mike McCarthy doesn't have a deal, though. So CeeDee Lamb got paid. Dak Prescott got paid. And we believe Micah Parsons will get paid. So really, it's just McCarthy who's kind of dangling out there. And, if they put together another good regular season but blow it in the playoffs, do you actually start over with another coach, or does Jerry remain loyal to Mike McCarthy?
Did you listen to Jerry this offseason, Maggie? Maggie, the thing is, when your coach is on his final year, he's going to coach really hard. He said something to that effect that he liked having guys on the last year, which he could
have done with Dak. But
honestly, this is a guy who wouldn't fire Jason Garrett for half a decade. You honestly think he's going to get rid of McCarthy if he wins 12 games every year?
Also, we gotta put some kind of lasso around these Perloff impersonations. It's just,
I don't think that was so bad.
It wasn't that bad.
What? Oh my gosh!
It could have been worse.
You sound like Dusty Rhodes. That was terrible.
Well, first of all, I'll take that as a huge compliment from you, EJ. What is terrible about sounding like Dusty Rhodes?
Well, no,
when you're not doing Dusty Rhodes,
awesome. But when you're doing Jerry Jones, that becomes a little bit of an issue.
EJ, you see, the thing is,
it's just so bad.
No, you got to do Jerry Jones and Bill Clinton sound exactly the same. So you have
Arkansas.
You have to do sort of a little more wheezy. There's got to be like it has to sound a little more rugged. But all right, give me some time. Let me work on it. Let me warm up.
You gotta lose the lisp. If you lose the lisp,
Jerry,
I think you'll be good.
Okay, EJ. No,
it got worse.
He's in his
now
head
I sound like something from Beverly Hillbillies. I don't know what that was.
855-212-4227. What is the ceiling now for the Cowboys? And I'd like to know for our listeners like Big Dave and others who are these diehard Cowboy fans who wrote them off.
Yeah.
Not going to root. They're never going to bring me back in. Well, now you win 33-17 in Cleveland on opening night, and you got Tom Brady praising your quarterback and your head coach. Are you back in?
Yes. And what did you think of my Jerry Jones impersonation to Cowboys fans?
It'd be a landslide.
Is it Maggie?
And Jerry is kind of like Christopher Walken. Like everyone's got one.
Yeah.
And they're all generally good, except yours.
I say I have nothing to fight back with here. I know my impersonations are not good.
Perloff has a way of his impersonations. Well, all of a sudden, the person that he's trying to impersonate will not only switch like countries, dialects. Like you'll start with Cam Smith, the golfer, and he'll end up sounding like Apu from The Simpsons. Like you just totally change. It's like we're not even in the same part of the world anymore.
Throw another shrimp on the bobby, Maggie.
It's so bad.
Ryan is now regretting that he backed up my Jerry Jones impersonation.
When you first did it, it sounded good.
Yeah, I know.
And then you tried doing it again, and it just went downhill from there.
The reason is I knew what I wanted to say as Jerry Jones. I need a script.
That's not going to help. 855-212-4227.
All right, we'll see. By the way, I've kept this hidden from you, Maggie. I have to make a formal declaration/announcement later in the show, and I want it on the record, and it involves you.
Oh, it involves me.
Yes, it's very much about you, and it's going to be very formal. I would hold a press conference if we could, but you can't really do that on a live sports talk radio station.
Well, I mean, we've got microphones and we've got cameras, so we're basically halfway there. It says here on our rundown, 8:40 a.m. Eastern Time, Perloff makes an official statement, and nobody would tell me what it is.
No one knows what it is.
Asking,
no one knows what it is except me and Jerry Jones.
Oh, Jerry, you got Jerry involved?
No, I just was throwing that out.
Oh, your alter ego?
Can I do this whole thing in a Jerry Jones accent?
Not if we want an audience. 855-212-4227. What?
I apologize. Am I killing the audience?
Slowly and painfully. You are welcome to weigh in on your favorite team. We're going to try to get to everybody today, but you've got something to say about your team. You are welcome at 855-212-4227. We'll get to you. Also, the Cowboys. What's the ceiling for this team after we watch their Week 1 dominant performance over the Cleveland Browns? Poor Browns fans. Good grief. You don't deserve this, guys. You're going to watch Deshaun Watson just stink, and you can't even, it's not even like lovable loser because he's so impossible to root for. This is just a tough spot. 855-212-4227. Is that Maggie Perloff?
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. Everybody here is generally tired but feeling good. It was such a fun weekend. Oh my God, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, no sleep. Awesome. Lots of lost bets. I don't even want to get started on that. But give us a call and talk about your team, 855-212-4227. Feel like it's a funny thing this week, Maggie. I don't think there's like one game that stood out as elite. I feel like every game was interesting in its own right. So I'm curious to hear from everybody.
Yeah, the Cowboys looked really good. The Cowboys looked really good. If you take it back to Thursday, the Chiefs, you watch everyone else play, it's like, man, the Chiefs, let's not forget about them.
Yeah.
They looked really good.
That feels like years ago, but okay.
And you know who else was dominant? The New Orleans Saints.
Wow.
But they were playing maybe a team that I questioned a couple months ago whether they would go 0-17. And
that's hardly a hot take that the Panthers could be 0-17.
I'm just saying, it's hard to go 0-17. You're going to run into a win here and there. Let's hit the phones, 855-212-4227. We're asking, what is the ceiling for the Dallas Cowboys? Daryl is in California. Happy Cowboy fan today. What's up, Daryl?
Hey, how you doing, Maggie, this morning?
We're doing great. What's on your mind?
Just want to say how relieved I am that the Cowboys defense finally came out looking like they're supposed to look. But I'm also relieved to see the results of the longest poker game that I've ever seen, because in the off season, Jerry Jones goes, "Hey, I'm all in." I'm like, "Well, what does that mean?" You know.
Well, it wasn't just the longest, Daryl. It was also the dumbest poker game. Because
Exactly. But yesterday he showed his hand by giving him that contract. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what he meant. Okay. But also, you know, like you said about being dumb, being the dumbest poker game, it was like, look, why? I mean, I was wondering, is Jerry going to wake up? Does he really know what he did? Because a lot of people was like, man, Jerry's kind of senile these days. Do we really think that he might give Dak $240 instead of $240 million? No. He may wake up tomorrow and be like, wait a minute, I didn't say that, you know?
Daryl,
but anyway,
as senile as Jerry may be, and Daryl, thanks for the call. Congrats to your Cowboys. As senile as Jerry may be, he definitely knows how many zeros are at the end.
Yeah.
The guy's good with money. I mean, the Cowboys are valued at $10 billion. I think we got to give Jerry a little bit of credit for how successful the team's been in that
Definitely, but I definitely don't think he's running the show. And based on like their draft, they have 5 rookies who made big contributions on Sunday. Somebody is drafting up a storm there. It can't possibly be Jerry Jones, right? Is he breaking down tape of Marshawn Nealand? I mean, somehow like they might be a really well-run franchise. I know that sounds weird, but I think that they just seem to be bringing in a lot of talent.
Yeah, but they pay their guys too late. So, yeah, they might draft well. That's one part of running a team. It's a big part.
Well, I mean, to get to 12 wins in a row, 12 wins 3 years in a row is an accomplishment in a sense. I do think that Jerry is the front man. I mean, that's not a hot take, is it? Jerry is definitely – I don't even know if he's, like, negotiating with Dak Prescott. I wonder if Will McClay is doing all of this.
I mean, he likes to say the buck stops with me. He'll be out there saying, like, it's me, it's me. Let's hear from Jerry, actually. Nick, can I hear Cut 11? He says after paying Dak Prescott $241 million to $231 guaranteed, just get $1 million more than Deshaun Watson. Jerry Jones says the timing was right.
I'm happy that it's done. This was a time when it was right there for us to do. We were all set to go, and that's so critical. I've seen so many things that were worthy of doing that weren't done because you missed the timing to make it happen. And opening day up here against Cleveland, this was a great time to make it happen.
I mean, it could have also happened 2 months ago, and maybe you could have spread out a dead cap hit and try to do a few other things, but sure.
The weird thing is they cleared up a ton of salary cap space, which is bizarre. I don't understand that. Now they have tons of room this year and next year to sign Micah. Again, I mean, like legit. They're not even the top like 10 of the. There are a lot of teams that are even worse cap space than them. Because really, you think about it, they're not paying a ton of guys, just the big 3. Then they have rookies and young players everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, Trayvon Diggs makes a little bit of money too. 855-212-4227. George is our Rams fan in L.A. George, that was a tough one. Losing in overtime last night to the Detroit Lions, but Stafford looked very good. What's going on, pal?
Yeah, I was very impressed with Stafford, considering he lost 2 of his tackles, and then another lineman, and then Puka Nacua got hurt. This Ram team, they're going to be okay, you guys. Trust me. Detroit had everything going their way. They won the coin flip.
Yeah.
Whoever wins that coin flip that game probably wins the game in overtime because both teams were exhausted at the end. But Stafford, like you said, was impressive. And the Rams, they're going to be okay. It's just one game, and, it's a tough situation. And Detroit, their secondary, like Perloff said, is somewhat questionable.
Yeah, they got a rookie standing out there. George, the one thing, and I'm glad you're not letting the loss get you down because, it was a super close game, but the injury stuff from training camp is now followed you into week 1,
That's the concern.
Totally. And, yeah, you lost tackles. You still hung in the game, but you lost tackles, and who knows if Puka Nacua, this doesn't seem like a devastating injury by any stretch, but you need him out there.
Yeah. But you saw it yesterday. I think the coaching staff is real good. I mean,
of course.
McVay's really good. He just, whoever was called, it was McVay, put Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator, into a blender. I mean, they had the wrong matchup on pretty much every single play of the entire game. I just think the Rams failed to punch it in the red zone, ended up costing them the game. I would agree that if they stayed at this level of health, Maggie, they'd be okay. But I think you're right. The health concerns are not going in the right direction.
Joe's in New York is a happy Vikings fan this morning. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Maggie. How are you?
We're doing great. What's on your mind?
So, first of all, tip of the hat to Jessica Pegula for getting into the finals. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And then what happened?
Sorry. I know.
It's all right.
Know.
Listen, she lost
But,
against a player who's basically been dominant this season.
Right. And she got as far as she's ever gotten.
That's
so
true.
Good job by her.
No doubt.
So, unfortunately, I was not able to watch the game yesterday, but I saw my Vikes beat the Giants 28-6. So, I'm hoping my defense really showed up yesterday.
Weren't able to watch the game. What were you doing?
I had some church stuff I had to do.
All right. Well, higher calling. Probably help you in the long run. Definitely want to keep the big man on your good side.
Maybe the big man helped the team win.
I'm going to be honest, Joe. Thank you so much for the call and for checking in. There's no shot God's a Viking fan. The amount of horrible, gut-wrenching losses, just like I know God's not a Bills fan. Sometimes, you got a higher power who's with you, and sometimes you got to work against it. It's just this facts, Perloff.
I am very curious. If Sam Darnold continues to play like this, at what point would you admit that Sam Darnold might be a good quarterback?
Is he going to keep playing like this?
At what point would you, Maggie Gray, say the following words?
Okay.
Sam Darnold is a good NFL quarterback.
I'll tell you
what would he have to do?
when. I'll tell you exactly
Please.
when. San Francisco hosts the 49ers next week. Let's see how that goes. If he's awesome against the 49ers, then I'll tell you, I think that Sam Darnold is a good quarterback and the Jets ruined him and it wasn't all his fault and the Carolina Panthers ruined him and all of that. Let's see how it goes against San Francisco.
If you put his Jets stats through a Jets glasses statistician, he was a Hall of Famer, considering the guy had more touchdowns and interceptions in New York. And look at the coaches he played with and look at the GMs he had. I don't know. Maybe he's better than you think.
Well, the current GM was the one who showed him the door, but and basically traded him out of town and somehow got a second-round pick for him.
Who drafted him? Mike McCagnon?
Mike McCagnon.
Yeah. I think Darnold, I'm not saying he's great, but I do think he's a little better than you thought. With Kevin O'Connell calling the plays there in Minnesota, I think he's going to be medium. I think he might not do anything against San Francisco, but you're going to get enough out of him to be 500 at least.
Well, it helps to have Justin Jefferson there.
Yeah. No, I know. We were all aware of that, but I still think your Sam Darnold bias. It's hard to let go of for you.
It's not personal against Sam Darnold. It's the amount of time wasted in my life watching him play quarterback that is the issue. It's like, it's like regret. Like I can't get any of that time back. This could have been
fire yesterday. There's no doubt.
But the Giants are terrible.
All right.
Bogish, you're the Giants fan here.
What did that noise mean? That they're not
terrible?
terrible?
No. I'm just saying maybe Sam Darnold's okay. Maggie will not. By the way, he could win the Super Bowl, and you will not believe in Sam Darnold. I've heard you comment on him so many times,
and it's bad because I like him personally. I've done some interviews with him. He couldn't be a nicer guy, and he couldn't be a worse quarterback. No, there are worse quarterbacks
even
than
in
Darnold.
Carolina, he had some moments, and you saw what's happening there. So I'm not so sure. I think he's at least medium.
It's possible. Jordan Addison, by the way, got hurt yesterday and didn't come back into the game, so it's something to keep an eye on. But Bogish is here, and he's a Giants fan, and I just want to say, working in New York, I worked at WFN for 5 years, and I saw some really bad teams and some awful seasons. I've never seen fans wait around after the game just to go to the player's exit and boo the quarterback. I've never seen that before. That happened yesterday to Daniel Jones. Fans were just waiting, some for autographs, which he didn't sign any of them because he kept it moving, just to boo him. Have you ever seen that?
Not after also leaving in the third quarter after his pick six. Like, fans packed up and bounced at that moment. I mean, it feels deserved. There's a lot of anger for him yesterday, a lot of just amazing memes and tweets and whatever yesterday, and it's hard to say that he and they don't deserve it. They are a bad, bad, bad football team, and it's been way too long now that they've been that bad.
The fact that they've been trying to build an offensive line for almost 10 years now, while their division rival, the Cowboys, just like find guys and just put them together and it works out, it makes this just so much worse for the Giants. Yeah, EJ, you want to say something?
The Giants are in such a bad state that now the memes that I normally see about the Jets season being over after a quarter or 2 quarters, I'm now seeing routinely for the Giants. Like, that to me was mind-blowing yesterday. Like, it felt like they were just recycling the old memes and just changing the Jet logo for Giants logo to say season over. And look, the Jet season may be over tonight too. I don't know. I'm not here to gloat, but I never would have thought in this city that the Giants would be the team looked at as a team that just has no shot from basically kickoff. It's incredible what's happened. And Bogus is right. It's been too long that they've been so terrible.
Also, Saquon Barkley scoring 3 touchdowns for the Eagles didn't help headers. I mean, I know that happened on Friday night, but he looked awesome.
I don't know who John Mayer's cardiologist is, but you get paid double for the season.
The catch that Saquon Barkley had in the end zone was like, oh my God, that guy is I rethink the whole drafting him second overall, which was a huge, colossal mistake, but God, he's good.
Yeah, and in case anybody didn't know why the Giants are wearing those bizarro uniforms, they're beginning their 100th season celebration. Like, every important Giant was at the game yesterday, and they watched that happen.
Well, those uniforms are better in black and white. Whoa. Can we just switch all the TVs back to when they actually wore those things? Because they were hard on the eyes, yes?
This has got to be, honestly, let's be real. This is a good day for the Giants. Like, you have to bottom this out. You have to clean house and get Carson back and
but they've already done this. This is not a good day for the Giants.
But they've never been... They happen to have a high pick the year Daniel Jones out of Duke was in the draft. They need to get into a real draft and get a franchise quarterback.
They also picked Saquon Barkley at number 2. They've done this before.
That was the 2018 draft.
Yeah.
The one with Josh Allen.
Well, they're not you're forgetting they are, I think, the worst team in the NFL in the last decade. This is not a good day for the Giants.
Right, so they'll fire Joe Shane, they'll fire Brian Dable, and they'll draft a quarterback.
And they've already fired 2 other GMs and 3 other head coaches.
Well, who would
you remember Joe Judge?
But did they have Jerry
Pat
Reese
Shermer?
they fired, who was just a leftover from the last regime?
From a Super Bowl builder, yeah.
I think that they really need to start over. Just whatever happened before, just get everybody who was connected to the old team out of the building. That's what you want.
The old team is the bad team. You're forgetting a whole level of turnover.
It's forgettable, to be fair to Perloff.
Did they have Gettleman as their GM? I mean,
after Reese. So they've Gettleman.
Yeah. That was a horrible decision. They can't possibly do worse at GM. Would you rather go? Let me ask this question: would you rather be 7-10 this year or 1-16?
No. Okay. Yes, I'd rather be 1-16, but we've done this already.
You really have. The 2 pick? Yeah, I don't know. You got.
I need you to go remember the last decade.
But wasn't that because Eli was still sticking around?
Yeah, they tried to do this thing where they were kind of trying to split the baby. They wanted to see if they could.
There's no splitting the baby anymore. There's none of that. So this is like a clean break. There's never been a clean break this clean. I mean, come on. This is as clean as you get.
Could be a race to the bottom, guys. We're going to have a few teams that could be very, very bad.
Oh, this is going to be, and by the way, the Panthers, Titans, Giants, maybe the Cardinals. There's a lot of teams that are going to need a quarterback next year.
I actually thought the Cardinals were, again, they should have won that game. I'm not worried about the Cardinals. Let's let Bogush move on, though. What else you got, Pat?
All the headlines are sponsored by Prize Picks. Football season's here, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Download Prize Picks and use code MNP to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. The Rams turned a 17-3 hole into a 2017 lead last night at Detroit, but allowed a tying field goal with 17 seconds left. Then watched the Lions march down the field for David Montgomery's 1-yard TD run to lose 26-20 in overtime. As Perloff has said, Matthew Stafford's offense had the ball for 35 minutes, but only produced those 20 points. Stafford was picked off in the end zone. Sean McVay passed up a field goal for a 4th down try, didn't convert that, and another drive stalled at the goal line, settling for a field goal.
That was kind of the name of the game for us. Had our opportunities, but weren't able to capitalize on them.
So Stafford loses his latest game against his old team, and he also may have lost receiver Puka Nacua, who picked up a knee issue in the first half and did not return. Injuries are not the main issue for the Panthers, as you guys have been saying. It's just about their talent.
Out of a shotgun is Carr. Panthers bring 4. Carr stands, now fires it deep. Middle of the field. Rashid Shaheed. See you later. Bye. Touchdown, New Orleans. Rashid Shaheed. Middle of the field. Post pattern. 64 yards.
The long TD connection came less than 3 minutes into the opener. The Saints would score on their first 9 possessions, cruising to a 47-10 win. Bryce Young, 2 ugly picks, sacked 4 times to start his sophomore season. There's more than one unsettled QB situation around the NFL as this new season begins. Some of them might have rookies take over for veterans later in the year, like in New England, which is why ESPN did a segment yesterday on these delicate situations, which is how we got this story from Drew Bledsoe, who got jumped once upon a time by Tony Romo in Dallas.
Really didn't agree with that one. If you're watching this, Romo, you know this is true. The minute that he became the starter, he became pretty big in his own mind, and he was no longer the curious, inquisitive guy.
Which is not how things went in the more notable time that Bledsoe lost his job to a young QB.
That was the difference between him and Tommy. Tommy became the starter. He still was asking all the questions where all of a sudden Romo was the guy that had all the answers.
Can we get Bledsoe in the booth? This guy's been great. Ever since the roast of Tom Brady, he has just been on a tear. I love
100%. Oh, he's great. That's a good point. He was much better than Brady.
I didn't like him this much when he was actually the Bills quarterback. I'm a big fan of him now.
He's got this vineyard. I mean, he might be a little looser, if you know what I mean. I'm just saying, like...
you think he's sampling the goods?
Well, I don't know. He sounds like he's way looser and more calm than Tom Brady. Like, he'll let it rip. Brady didn't really let it rip, but he didn't criticize anyone. Apparently, Drew Bledsoe will kill guys.
I love it. Can we get this guy a podcast? Everyone and their mom's got a podcast. I don't even want to listen to 90% of them. I would definitely tune in for Drew Bledsoe, though.
That might be a bridge too far.
I'm into it. He knows where the bodies are buried, and he's not afraid to say it. Also, Romo, by the way, Romo sounds like...
sounds like
Chris Collinsworth compared to
John
Brady.
Yeah. So polished.
And Chris Collinsworth sounds like Madden. I'm like, geez, I guess Collinsworth really is good at this thing because Brady this is the thing about Brady, not to make it all about him and his debut yesterday. And I'm sure he'll get better, but all we've been hearing about this offseason is how hard he's been working at this. You know, he and Burkhardt are in a studio in LA somewhere doing games, like calling fake games. And he called every broadcaster and he's talking to him like, I don't see the fruits of that effort.
Well, maybe the over-preparation actually cost him and he was kind of tight.
But he just didn't sound excited.
Yeah, I think the problem is his voice is just annoying. Like, even if he's saying good things, I don't want to listen to his voice.
You think it's annoying? I just think it's not broadcastery.
He sounded a little bored, too.
Yeah,
maybe the game, there was a boring vibe.
I mean, the game definitely did not help, and I'm sure he was bummed by that. But I just from a simple, audio quality, I don't like his voice.
So here's the thing about the game being boring. So obviously Brady was on the Cowboys game yesterday. They win 33-17, and it wasn't even that close. It was a blowout. But this is the cool thing about Brady. Story time. Can I get some Brady stories? Do I got anything? The dog pound? They did a little about Mike Zimmer and how tough it was for him to face Zimmer defenses. But this is where you got to go Brady story time, number one. And number two, this is where he can actually spread out a little bit and explain a little about what's going on. Did I ever get a question? Why do the Cowboys keep failing in the postseason? Just tee him up for that. Anything that he says is interesting. So, have him answer these big questions. anyone?
Yeah,
Anyone?
he did go. There was one point at the end, he did a prepared speech on tough coaching and how he loves to be coached. And right in the middle of it, some backup cornerback, he's like, and that is, accountability is the key to any organization. Looks like they're dragging that cornerback off the field. And then he went back into his TED Talk. And then afterwards, Kevin Burkhardt goes, thank you, Tom. Meanwhile, 3rd and 6. It just didn't work at all. So he was trying to do some speeches and things, and it was poorly timed. But it's week 1. We're going to kill this guy?
No.
You can't.
I get it.
I mean, you've done this
He's calling
job.
the Super Bowl this year. Like, if that's we've got to get a little more pep in our step.
But both you guys have done this job. Is there any kind of like practice? Once that mic opens during a game, I feel like it's a different animal. It's hard to practice it.
It's really hard to manufacture like the energy of a non-game. Yeah. Now, they were also at games. They did go to real games and do a broadcast not on the air. But and even that, I think you like subconsciously know that no one's hearing it. So all those nerves come flooding in yesterday, which is why he was making he was flubbing things, and he was kind of like he'd flip teams sometimes, like weird things, like But honestly, like to me, just listening to it and hearing the other guys working yesterday, he just doesn't have the voice for that job. Like he may again end up saying the most beautiful things, profound things, but I have never going back to the sideline yelling at his teammates. His voice is like nails on a chalkboard to me.
Well, I mean, listen, he likes to be coached hard. There's such a thing as voice coaches. I mean, you can get somebody to help you with that kind of thing if he really wants to. And if anyone at Fox has the stones to tell him that he needs one.
All right. One thing I kind of he is doing afternoon games. He's not the standalone game at night, so he will have a lot of time. Like Romo did a game last. I don't even know where I watched I watched Red Zone. I watched
doing Raiders Chargers.
Yeah. Like you could be buried a little bit in that game. He's gonna have some big games, but I think he has plenty of opportunity to learn. Like Collinsworth is out there on an island. We're just all ripping him and Aikman too. And by the way, Brady has a long way to catch up to those guys.
Those guys
way.
They're Picasso compared to what Brady was doing.
I wonder if they took some time too. What Bogus said about his voice, I heard a lot of that. Like, God, he's a little whiny.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one should ever get into TV. This is why you're the greatest of all time. Like, don't do it because you leave yourself open to some crazy criticism.
But I think you're better off sounding the part than like actually doing it. Like I'd rather have a good voice say dumb stuff than say good stuff with an annoying voice.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Well, a lot of people. I
don't know. And we're looking at you.
I'm jealous of many of them. I wish I had a good voice.
You know who's gonna have a good voice? Dak Prescott. Here we go. There you go, Ryan. That was good, right?
That was good too.
Thank you. Finally, someone around here appreciates impersonation.
He's 2 for 2. Don't encourage him. Sheesh. Bogus, thank you for that. We've got a lot more to get to, including more NFL stuff. Cowboys, Steelers, who had the best and worst of the weekend, including the Raiders. See you guys on the phone. You want to talk about what's going on with the Raiders? We talked about the race to the bottom. Could the Raiders be in that conversation? And Jim Harbaugh gets his first win on the flip side. Very Harbaugh-esque, Perloff. You really nailed what this is going to look like for the Chargers. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, they're happy.
Yeah, that's great. You have a quarterback you're paying $200 million to. Why doesn't he throw 8-yard out routes the whole time? 855-212-4227, Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Swinging so smooth. Junior varsity tennis, he's got the groove. Lower Marion's pride, a rising star, but Ernest still bullies him from afar. Ernest tells he'll never be great, but Perloff's still winning, sealing his fate. The word is marching day and night. There's something else that just ain't right. Where's Peter Paul? He's coming.
1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We are going to dive into college football in just one moment. We have a segment on Mondays called College Football Report Card. Quickly, though, Steve's in the Bay Area, wants to talk about his Raiders. Rough day for you, Steve. How you holding up?
I'm not. I'm born and raised in Chicago, but I've been a Raider fan since 1975 before I even knew where California was. But I've had more misery than fortune with these Raiders. I don't know. It seems like the people that's out there coaching and managing, making decisions, they're like subpar compared to other teams. And, I had to go to work and listen to the 49ers today. And, it just seems like the people that run their team, they elite. They know what they're doing. I don't know. I love my Raiders, but guess what? I have on my Bears hat this morning.
Well, and the Bears got a win, Steve, and thank you for the phone call. Caleb Williams didn't exactly light the world on fire yesterday. Didn't even crack 100 yards. Quarterback rating was in the toilet. But, yeah, the Raiders, you have no quarterback, really, and this is going to be a long season and one where I think Devontae Adams is going to end up on a different team.
You had every opportunity to win that game yesterday. The offense just did not show up. You are so right. You've been kind of waiting for that Devontae Adams trade.
I have.
There's so many teams. There was some wide receiver injuries yesterday. I'm like, ooh, Devontae Adams would be great there. He'd be great here. He'd be great. There's so many teams that could add him. The one team that probably doesn't need him because of where they are as a franchise is the Raiders. They clearly need a quarterback. It seems like, it's week one. Let's not kill the team completely. It seems like they'll be in the quarterback game.
We have a lot more to say on the Raiders, but we do want to get to our college football report card. Let's do it.
Time to go. I have to go to class.
Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
Let's find out who made the grade after this weekend's college football action.
He is totally going to kill at college.
What, like it's hard?
As of this moment, they're on double secret probation.
Maggie and Perloff hand out their college report card.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
EJ, we don't have a lot of time, so let's get to it. Who are we grading first?
All right, let's go to Oregon. The Mighty Ducks needed a late field goal to survive an upset bid from Boise. What grade are you giving Oregon this weekend?
You go first, Maggie, because I know I'm going to have a higher grade than you.
I'm giving them a C. I love Boise. They're my group of five champion, and Janty is awesome, and he should be in the Heisman conversation. But the amount of explosive plays they had to be this close in this game when Dylan Gabriel is slinging the ball all around the field, Perloff, what is going on in Oregon?
First of all, they went against the new, I don't know if he's Billy Sims. Ashton Genty is unbelievable. So I think I'm going to give credit to Boise there, and I'm going to give them a B-. I want to be a little higher. They have a bunch of easy games before that huge Ohio State game Oregon does. Feel like Dylan Gabriel's so sharp. You're right. The ball doesn't touch the ground. I don't understand why they're not a little bit better. I think they have time, and maybe they pull an upset against Ohio State. They still are in good position because of their schedule to make a run for the playoffs, so I'm not giving up on them. At least they got the wins, and Idaho played tough again this week. Maybe it's the competition.
I have no faith that Oregon is going to go beat Ohio State, and you guys know.
They could lose that game and still be fine, though.
Yeah, but it has been a rough start to the season. I get it, that they're they've actually found a way to win these games, but by the skin of their teeth. EJ, who else are we grading this week?
All right, let's go to Texas. Quinn Ewers threw 3 touchdowns in Longhorns blowout win of Michigan. What's the grade for them?
Oof. I mean, A++++.
plus. And for Michigan, F.
I have a side bet. I don't know how I have a side bet who's going to go higher in the NFL draft. I did this podcast with Will Kane, formerly ESPN, now at Fox, about who'll go higher, Quinn Ewers or Cam Ward. And I said Cam Ward, the Miami quarterback. But, man, Ewers looked like an NFL pro on Saturday to me. He looked perfect.
Yeah, I was really surprised. This was a game I actually thought Michigan was going to point themselves a lot better here. I thought the defense was at least going to have resistant, put up a little resistance here. I know the offense for Michigan is obviously going to be super conservative. They got to figure out what's going on with their quarterback situation in Michigan. And this was a wake-up call. I mean, I know the fan base is just happy that you won the national championship, but you go in, you get pushed around like that.
Yeah, I mean, they were 7.5-point dogs. I don't think.
And they lost by 30.
Yeah, I don't think the final score was by that much, was it? But regardless, though, I don't think the expectations are high in Michigan. Maybe I'm an overly optimistic person, but I feel like the vibes from last year will carry them to some form of peace throughout this crappy season.
31-12 here was the final score, but Michigan got some late scores that
no,
made
it
this
wasn't.
look a little bit better.
It was never close. And Texas, actually, it's amazing how well they moved the ball in the first half against that Michigan defense. There's nothing going on offensively for Michigan. There's just nothing there.
EJ, we got time for one little one.
Coach Prime, they got blown out in Nebraska. What are you giving Deion Sanders?
D. And I think I'm being generous there.
I don't even know if you need to grade Coach Prime. It's like he's like a 6-year senior, 0.0.
You know what? I was disappointed in Colorado.
Yeah, me too.
Nebraska looked good, by the way. Dylan Raiola is amazing, and the run game really was the key to the whole thing. But Colorado, I mean, in every way you can get pushed around. And I feel bad for Travis Hunter because he is the best player on the field, and there's only so much he can possibly do.
No, you're right. He can only play 2 different ways. I mean, he plays every play, Maggie. What else you want him to do?
I mean, are we still paying attention to Colorado? That was rough. You're welcome to weigh in on college football at 855-212-4227.
Andrew Perloff, he's the man. With impressions, he's got a plan. From Jerry Jones to Dak Prescott, he can nail him on the spot. But wait, where's the line? He's nowhere to be found. The lost doing voices. Well, Pete's not around. Oh yeah, where's the Lonnie? Still stuck at home or lost in town. We're lost crushing it daily, but Pete's let us down. Jerry says win it all. Doc's voice echoes down the hall. But Peter's chair, it's empty, cold. Where he is, nobody knows. Oh yeah, where's Maloney? He's nowhere to be seen. We're lost doing voices. Well, Pete's not around. Oh yeah, where's Maloney? Still stuck at home or lost in town. We're lost crushing it daily, but Pete's let us down. Andrew's Jerry says win it all. Doc's voice echoes down the hall. But Peter's chair, it's empty, cold. Where he is, nobody knows. Oh yeah, where's Maloney? He's nowhere to be seen. We're lost doing magic. Well, Pete skips the scene. Oh yeah, where's the Lonnie? Still snoozing, I bet. Andrew's got the voices, but Pete's not here yet. Maybe he's stuck in traffic or chasing some bizarre dream. But we're here doing voices while Pete's off the team. Oh yeah,
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining.
Andrew Perloff, he's the man. With impressions, he's got a plan. From Jerry Jones to Dak Prescott, he can nail 'em on the spot. But wait, oh, where's Bellotti? He's nowhere to be found. Perloff's doing voices while Pete's not around. Oh yeah, where's Bellotti? Still stuck at home or lost in town. Perloff's crushing it daily, but Pete's let us down.
Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Now they're set. Ferguson, the long snapper. Bailey, the holder. Sanders will swing that right leg. Hold is down, kick is up. And the Miami Dolphins have won this football game 20-17 over the Jaguars.
What a comeback. What a comeback for the Miami Dolphins.
Dolphins radio, and what odd circumstances for that Dolphins win. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. There's so much to get to from yesterday and from Saturday. The Cowboys' big win, the Steelers' win, both Justin Fields, the Raiders with a disappointing debut, Perloff, but no one had an odder ride to the stadium than Tyreek Hill, who ends up getting a traffic violation but got detained, handcuffed, according to Ian Rappaport, thrown to the ground, and cops got like a knee in his spine. Calais Campbell, his teammate, who's like known to be like one of the good guys in NFL, Calais Campbell, he comes over to try to help out. He gets put in handcuffs. It was an all-around chaotic day, and then the game happened, and that was just kind of ugly. But the Miami Dolphins end up winning 20-17.
Yeah, and Hill has a huge play in that game.
Massive.
So this is amazing to me, too, as someone who's from Philadelphia. What an Eagle would have to do to get stopped and arrested in the shadow of Lincoln Field. Unless you had the body and the smoking gun on the Eagles player, they would be police escorted into the stadium. Same in Green Bay, same in any football town. Miami's such a weird place. And who knows what, listen, we don't know what Tyreek Hill was doing. Maybe the police will tell the other side of the story. But I think the police sent a very, very clear message by putting this cop on administrative leave.
Immediately.
That was, even in the Scotty Scheffler incident, they didn't do anything like that. This was a very clear message that somebody overreacted, which obviously, as Tyreek Hill said after the game, happens a lot. This is not a good look for the police.
No, it's not. But, Travis is here in our chat. If you want to watch the show, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network, and on X at Maggie Gray. Hill's other off-field issues are going to come into play here for better or for worse. Like, that's the one thing about Tyreek Hill. he may have been totally in the right here, but he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt until we learn more about what's going on, right? Like, I want more details because Hill has been a wild card, and that's putting it mildly. I mean, he's had domestic violence stuff in his past. He had this weird incident with a guy who was doing a boat rental a couple of Father's Days ago that he got into an altercation with, that got basically paid to go away. Tyreek Hill isn't exactly like Mr. Good Guy off the field. So, again, I'm not trying to blame him. This is not a what was she wearing type of thing. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that he's gotten into stuff before. I'd like to hear the whole story. I don't know if we'll ever get it. Yeah,
I don't feel like that all that is relevant necessarily because, I mean, again, you're right. Of course we have to hear the whole story, and there's a lot more reporting. So, Jeff Darlington, get to work, buddy. You're going to have to do this.
All of a sudden, Mr. Courts and Cops, Jeff Darlington was there. Scotty Scheffler, and now this.
We'll see what happens, but the cops don't know any of that backstory in that moment, so I'm not sure it's relevant.
Well, it's pretty public, though. Here's what I'm saying.
No. I mean, the boat story, I remember that vaguely. And a domestic violence charge, while incredibly serious, that has no relevance to a traffic stop.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's like Tyreek. I'd like to know what was going on. Now, listen, you're right. They put the cop on administrative leave, so that kind of tells you what they might think about this particular officer and that maybe this person was stepped out of line or they had a little bit too much, a little power hungry or whatever happened. But I would just like to know, and I don't know if we ever will, because Tyreek Hill said after the game, very poignantly, did say, if I wasn't Tyreek Hill, how could this have ended? Which is definitely a fair thing to wonder. But at the same, we have the sound of that. Let's hear Tyreek Hill after the game.
Right now, I'm still trying to put it all together. So I'm not going to give you a version that I still don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to be able to use this platform to say, like, what if I wasn't Tyreek Hill, bro? Like, worst case scenario,
Yeah, I mean, listen, unfortunately, we have seen this play out. But at the same time, like, is it wrong for me to want to know everything that happened?
No, I mean, it is weird also to have Tyreek Hill on a moral high ground here. But that being said, the guy is in, it was a Lamborghini or it was some kind of fancy car. I saw
it looked like the DeLorean or something, like a fancier version of the Back to the Future car.
So maybe he was speeding, maybe he was recklessly driving. But I do think the circumstance, I mean, come on, dude. I mean, you had to know. He probably got out of the car and said, I'm Tyreek Hill, and the cop knows who he is, and the game is about to happen here. The circumstances seem like an odd situation to have him face down on the ground like that. He obviously was I said, I'm a player going to the game. Like, it reminds me a little of the Scotty Scheffler thing. Like, that cop was insane in the Scotty Scheffler incident. Even if he did get dragged to the ground, to cuff him and have him in an orange jumpsuit in the station was obviously, as you look back on it, was one of the stupidest set of police moves you'll ever see.
Right. No, go ahead.
I have a feeling this is headed in that direction. But you are right. There has to be more reporting.
Well, I guess the thing is you want to ask yourself, is the police officer escalating the situation or de-escalating the situation? Is Tyreek Hill escalating the situation or de-escalating? Because you're right. For him to end up face down in handcuffs on the ground, something must have happened. It's not you run a red light or you run a stop sign and all of a sudden you're getting dragged out of the car.
And why is Calais Campbell in handcuffs?
I have no idea why Calais Campbell was in handcuffs. I mean, this is somebody who, did he come over? He's trying to intervene. Also, who's the team of people who got Calais Campbell in handcuffs? That guy's the biggest dude on the field. Delta putting on the chat, I may have said administrative leave. The cop was put on administrative duty. So desk duty, not administrative leave.
Anyway. Okay. What does administrative leave mean? Whatever.
Yeah, EJ, you were in news for a long time. Enlighten us here.
Yeah, so unfortunately covered a lot of incidents like that. So administrative leave basically means they put you on desk duty, like Maggie said. You're not going out in the field. Sometimes they take your gun away. I'm not sure if this is one of those incidents, but essentially they're saying you gotta sit here, buddy. You're gonna be on timeout until we figure out what the hell happened.
Can we hear a little more from Tyreek Hill? Thank you, EJ. Can we hear a little more from Tyreek Hill? Can I hear cut 6, please, Nick, that he has no idea why he was put in handcuffs and he was not being disrespectful?
I have no idea, for real. No idea. No idea, man. It's crazy. No idea. It wasn't disrespectful, because my mom didn't raise me that way. Didn't cuss. Didn't do none of that. So, like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out, man.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, the fact that it would escalate to this point, if he's being, again, I'm not trying to blame him. I'm just saying I'd like to know what's going on here and how did it get to this level where, again, if he's being totally respectful and the cop just drags him out of the car.
No,
throws him to the ground. I mean, listen,
that's hard to believe
we've
as well.
seen this happen, but I hate to do this. It's and Tyreek Hill even said it. With famous people, it doesn't, except for Scotty Scheffler, I guess. But with famous people, you don't generally see this kind of thing.
I mean, okay, this is not an excuse, but the guy who's obviously going to the game, isn't there? He's a representative of the community by wearing that Miami Dolphins jersey. I mean, there's tons of taxpayer dollars that go into presenting that team. It's just kind of weird. And I've been to that stadium. I don't know. It's just the whole thing is like, what's going on here? It's like the cops who are by the stadium. How do you let that escalate to that point? Unless,
great question.
Again, we don't know, so we're in a dangerous speculation area. But once again, a guy who just shrugs off an arrest and goes out there and balls out, kind of like Scotty Scheffler did. Like, obviously wasn't super distracted. I know Miami started off really slow.
I would say the first half it looked like they were, but maybe that's just the first half of the season.
Yeah, but not necessarily. Like Tyreek Hill looked fine. I think he had, I don't know how he did in the first half, but he obviously ended up with over 100 yards, big game, huge play. Didn't take him out of the game, so we'll see where this goes. I think the police are going to end up looking kind of bad here, but thank God no one hurt.
No, nobody hurt, and Tyreek Hill is saying, I want to be a cop one day, and I'm going to use this as a learning experience. Like, I don't know. There's just something about, maybe because we just know too much about Tyreek Hill's history, it's just hard for me to give him the full benefit of the doubt here. Maybe that's wrong of me. Did you hear, moving away from that part of the story to what we saw on the field, did you see that Tua apparently gave an impassioned speech at halftime, getting in people's faces and really pumping everybody up? So apparently $200 million not only gets you a quarterback, but also gets you a big rah-rah halftime speech.
There you go.
They needed it.
I mean, Travis Etienne handed them a win.
That is also true.
By the way, there were three. The win probability was like 98% for the Jags. They had to creatively find a way to blow that game.
Yeah, that was gut-wrenching. Like, you're sick if you're a Jags fan that you lost that game where you were leading throughout.
And you finally got your 2 feet in the end zone. Remember last year, there's videos where I think like 15 touchdowns were on the end line of the end zone. They had 2 touchdowns where they actually got the ball in. Everything was looking good. They had that win. 17-7, punching in for the score to go up 24-7, seal the game, and fumble. Miami wins. I don't know. It's funny. I don't know really what I think of Miami after that game. They were sluggish. Their defense played pretty well, but
Jalen Ramsey tweaked a hamstring.
Yeah, I don't know if they're elite. I'm not quick. And Jalen Ramsey got torched by that rookie on the Jags a couple times.
Brian Thomas Jr. is the silver lining. That's what I was going to say to Jags fans. If you're feeling bad, you're feeling down today, I get it because you should have walked out of there with a win, but that guy is good. I mean, we didn't see anything from Marvin Harrison yesterday. We saw a little from Malik Neighbors, but it looks like the Giants are going to be pretty bad. But Brian Thomas, that guy is awesome. Now he's playing with an awesome quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, or a very good quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. But his line on the day, 4 catches for 47 yards, but the touchdown was impressive.
Yeah, he got a big PI too. So he looks good. Your guy Keon Coleman, another rookie receiver, looked pretty good. Obviously Xavier Worthy, it feels like a year ago, was good on Thursday night. So the receiver class will be okay. Poor Malik Neighbors. He could be the best of the group, but we'll never know with Daniel Jones throwing him the ball.
We're not going to know this year. Maybe they can figure out something with the Giants and tank and get a high pick and get a better quarterback. EJ, I'm sorry. Did you want to say something else about Tyreek Hill?
Well, no, actually more on the Dolphins, because Perloff was mentioning about how there was essentially, it's kind of hard to kind of say what do you take away from this game. Because there's a part where you look at this and say, hey, this is kind of what you want to see from the Dolphins, right? Like everyone thinks they have a glass jaw. You had Poyer before the season saying, oh, you just punch him in the mouth and then, they crumble. And he's on the team now.
Yeah.
So I think there was perhaps an expectation that with all that happened before the game, the Dolphins would fold, which is kind of what they did in the first half. So on the one hand, to see them come back and see them show some moxie was good, but we've seen them do this in September. Like they've had that big comeback against the Ravens a couple of years ago. Like they had a big game against the Bills a couple of years ago at home. Like they're able to have these tough kind of heavyweight fight kind of wins early in the season. But once that temperature hits below 50, that's when they crumble. So I almost feel like regardless of how good how tough they look early in the season. If it's not happening in December, I just don't know if it really matters for this team.
AFC East might be a little more interesting than we even thought. If the Jets can win tonight, that means the entire division would start off 1-0. And I think, honestly, the big takeaway, you're right, EJ, they always look good in the beginning of the year. Tyreek Hill, 7 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown, and Waddle, 5 catches for 109. I mean, they're good. These two guys.
Look at that. Look at the health report on defense. That's what constantly worries me. It's not just the cold weather. It's like they wear down and they have all these older, expensive, injury-prone players. So that's what concerns me. And by the way, they beat the Jags at home. Let's not act like they're headed towards a 14-3 season.
I get it. Again, you're welcome to weigh in on Tyreek Hill, 855-212-4227. Not just him. Calais Campbell also put in handcuffs. Bizarre story. Totally bizarre. I mean, how does it get to the point? How does it escalate? We asked this question with Scotty Scheffler. How does it escalate to the point where the person is in handcuffs laying on the ground just a few hours before the game?
I don't know. I want to hear more.
I know. 855-212-4227. Don't worry. Drew Rosenhaus is launching an investigation. Go get him, Drew. The agent for Tyreek Hill. He's launching an investigation. Okay. Glad to hear it.
You're not a Drew Rosenhaus fan?
It's not that I'm not a fan. I just think it's funny when the agent's like, and I'm launching an investigation. It's like,
I can't believe
into the cops in Miami. Like, can you even authorize that?
Actually, probably. Drew Rosenhaus in Miami. Yeah.
Pretty powerful guy.
I think he's had a few interactions with the police down there going back many years.
Yep.
He was on TV literally 16 minutes after this happened. Amazing.
He was on every network.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what happened? And no one will tell you what happened. The agent won't say it, and Tyreek Hill won't say it. It's like if the cop was so in the wrong, which clearly they were, if the guy's getting put on administrative duty and all of that, like they're admitting that the cop overdid it. But why can't we know what happened? They're like, those details aren't relevant. It's like, to me, they are. As someone who wants to know about this story, the details are definitely relevant. How did he end up on the ground? You know?
It's stunning. I mean, the one thing I will say, Maggie, is it does when Tyreek Hill has the comment about, oh, well, I wasn't disrespectful, I wasn't cursing. I think there's one thing that's important in these instances as well is police officers, like, if you're being disrespected or you're cursed at, that just still isn't a license to just throw somebody out of a car and pin them to the ground. We don't know exactly what happened, and we'll have body camera footage or whatever to figure that out. But to me, it is becoming also a little concerning and frustrating to me when I keep hearing people say, well, I didn't curse out the officer. Well, if you did, you still probably shouldn't have been pulled out of a car. Like that's the basic line of these incidents always goes back to that. And look, we should be respecting police officers. We should be following orders. But the fact that if you find somebody that isn't as respectful or isn't, going to be somebody who's going to say, oh, I love this police officer. Okay, like maybe try to find a way to get this person along for their day. Tyreek Hill clearly wasn't like a threat. He wasn't going to fight anybody, or he's not a, he didn't have any weapons or anything. That's the only thing about this incident that still bothers me is that Tyreek Hill, you have to come here and say, well, I wasn't disrespectful, I didn't curse.
Yeah.
Well, if he did, and maybe the cop did something that was wrong, and that's why he got upset, it still wasn't licensed to throw him on the ground with your knee in his back and handcuff him. You know what I'm saying? I just think that's the one thing that's still concerning about
this. Well, this is why I want to know what happened, And I think, if you're the cop, don't you want to tell your side of the story? I don't know if we're ever going to hear from this person. But again, 855-212-4227. The amount of things that happened yesterday before the games kicked off, I actually was keeping a little bit of a running list. The Tyreek Hill incident happened before the games kicked off. We found out Kendrick Lamar was going to be the halftime show. Dak Prescott signed the biggest contract in the history of the NFL. We found out that Justin Fields was going to be starting for Russell Wilson, even though Wilson came out in a full uniform, including pads, and warmed up when he was not going to play. We got a Jay Glazer report about Brandon Ayuk that said they were on the doorstep of trading him to the Steelers, and they basically gave Ayuk this ultimatum: you have until the end of practice today to either accept the deal we gave you 2 weeks ago, or we're going to trade you. And that was all just before the games kicked off. And I feel like I'm missing one. Oh, we found out that Jordan Love was going to be out from anywhere between 3 and 6 weeks with a knee injury that they suffered in Brazil.
That is a dodged bullet right there.
Oh, my goodness. This is all the stuff that happened before the game. Well, that was Friday night in Brazil, which the field was horrific. It looked horrible.
Yeah. No, the stadium looked awesome, but the field was too slippery. Once again, Eagles playing on a slippery field. Sound reminiscent?
Yeah, well, you won this one. 855-212-4227. That's any consolation. Okay, see you guys on the phones. You want to talk about the Dolphins. Again, on Mondays, we're all about you. We're going to try to get to every game and every fan base. But if you have something you want to say about your team, give us a call at 855-212-4227. Perloff football is here, and Prize Picks, our new obsession, is the best place to get real money sports action while watching football. Season-long fantasy, it takes way too much time, but Prize Picks, you can pick a new lineup every day. When I say that you and I are obsessed with this, the first thing we say to each other every morning is, who's your Prize Picks today? Who's your Prize Picks today? And we are having a blast with this new app.
Yeah, I could have had more fun this weekend if they would just feed the ball to Travis Hunter. But no, it's so much fun. The app is really simple to use. You pick 2 or more players across any sport. Pick more or less on their projection, and you can win up to 100 times your money. On Prize Picks, you can still cash out even if the lineup isn't perfect. And all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Not only that, Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy app with injury insurance. If one of your players goes down in the first half, Prize Picks doesn't count it as a loss. Just some of the many ways that Prize Picks puts its members first.
Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code M&P for Maggie and Perloff, M-A-N-D-P, and get $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code M&P on Prize Picks to get $50 credit instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Down at the park on a Saturday morn, Andrew Bogusch was ready, his whistle was worn. Little League Baseball, the kids in a line, but Bogusch was plotting some mischief this time. Oh, Andrew Bogusch, why you gotta be mean, bullying the kid? There's a guy we know, Andrew Perloff's got a tale to tell. Thinks he's an Aussie, but you can never tell. Tries to talk like he's from down under, but his accent's thunder. Oh, what a wonder. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your cheat day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. Crikey, he says, but it sounds all wrong. Mixes kangaroos with a New York song. Crocodile Dundee would have a laugh if he heard our Andrew with his strange mishmash. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up the snack. Your cheat day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. Foster's in his hand, trying to fit in, but his mates back home just chuckle and grin. He should be slinging steaks, not slinging slang. In the kitchen's where he can really hang. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your cheat day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. So here's to Perloff, I wanna be Aussie. Andrew makes you belong at the Outback, not living in the bush, but serving up a snack. Your cheat day sounds more like G9 at the Outback Steakhouse. You'd be just right. So here's to Perloff, I wanna be Aussie. So here's to Perloff, I wanna be Aussie.
45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Andrew Perloff trying to dive deep into this Tyreek Hill situation. Crazy story before the game. He gets pulled over by a cop, police officer. Somehow this escalates to the point where Tyreek Hill's in handcuffs on the ground. His teammate Calais Campbell tries to come over and help. He ends up in handcuffs. The whole thing does get resolved before the game, and Tyreek Hill goes out there and has a 7-reception, 130-yard touchdown day, and Miami needed every bit of that because they had to come from behind to beat Jacksonville in what was a pretty sloppy game, actually, that came down to a Travis Etienne fumble, which really sealed it for Miami the other way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big win for Miami. If they had lost that game, which they should have lost that game, I think things would feel dire for that team because really it's a health issue too. And you got to take advantage. When you have a healthy Tua out there, You got to win these games. We never know how long it's going to last.
Jason Sanders had to hit a 52-yarder for them to seal the deal. Gary is in Jacksonville, has a thought on the win. Gary, good morning.
Guys, good morning. Hope you had a good holiday. And as they say, Maggie, just win, baby.
Yeah, that's what Al Davis said.
I love the fact that, I've said since Trevor was drafted, he doesn't have the it factor, and somehow all these other assistants got fired in Jacksonville. But because Press Taylor is Doug Peterson's buddy, he avoided the wrath. Trevor hasn't gotten better under him. He's regressed under Press Taylor, and if that's not a red flag, and that's not a statement on Press Taylor, I don't know what is. And Jacksonville had a 17-7 lead. The first two possessions of the second half, 3 and out.
Yeah.
You can pay Trevor all that money, but that doesn't change the fact that he has not improved as an NFL quarterback, and he's not an elite quarterback. And if he's not an elite quarterback by now, guys, how is he ever going to be an elite quarterback? This is year 4. This is not his first or second year.
No, I understand it, Gary, and frustrating to be in Jacksonville. Yes, this was the second half for Jacksonville. 3 and out. The Travis Etienne fumble that we mentioned, turnover on downs, punt.
Yeah, does an elite quarterback do that, guys?
Yeah, but doesn't it feel like there's a bigger problem here? And honestly, I go to the GM. Listen, Eagles fans hate Press Taylor because he was Carson Wentz's guy. But I think there's bigger problems. I don't go to Trevor Lawrence. It's funny. I thought he looked okay. Gary, am I crazy? I thought he looked
160 yards in today's NFL is nothing great.
Yeah, but everybody had 160 yards this week. I mean, that was like the common box score. A lot of good quarterbacks didn't throw for a lot of yards. I came away putting that on Travis Etienne for that fumble. They win that game. They got conservative because they had a big lead.
I know, but
how about giving Jerron Holland some credit for a great defensive play? Though?
It was an amazing punch, no doubt about it. But still, you got to be really aware in that situation.
Gary,
I get it. The lead, even after all that, and the play after, they still had the lead, and Trevor Lawrence couldn't answer.
Here was Gary. Thank you.
Am I right or wrong, Maggie?
No, you're right. And Gary, I thank you for the call. So Jacksonville gets the ball with 4:22 left in the fourth quarter. You have a run up the middle with Bigsby for no gain. Then Lawrence is sacked for -4 yards, sacked for -6 yards. So now you're looking at a 4th and 20, and you get a delay a game penalty. They move them back even more, and you got to punt away. I mean, it's just when it's time with 4 minutes left to go in a tie game, yeah, that's when you need your elite quarterback to have a great drive. And Taking back-to-back sacks.
All that being said, it's 17-7 in third quarter, and your running back is down to the 1-yard line. If he punches that in, it's 24-7, and the game is, by all metrics, over.
I know, but they had 2 more drives after that.
Yeah, but their heart was broken after that. I hate to say it.
Their heart was broken.
That being said, they really should have won. So if they had won that game, would anybody be ripping Trevor Lawrence? Nobody threw for any yards this week. Like, I know he had 162 yards, but again, this was basically preseason week 4.
Well, Tua threw for a ton of yards, but they
How
only
many
had
did
20
Tua throw
points.
for?
Tua has a crazy line. Yeah, 350, Ryan's telling me in my ear.
338.
338.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, how much of that was Tyreek Hill running on that one play?
A lot of it. Coop is in Oakland. Coop, you have a thought on the Tyreek Hill situation?
Yeah, it's just I saw the tape like everyone else, and it's just not as uncommon as it seems to be being made. It happens every day, and it's happened to me. I got stopped on a routine traffic stop going 10 miles over the limit, and ended up in cuffs in the back of a police car as a black man.
Oh, sheesh.
And this would just happen to be caught on camera, and he's famous, so it made the news. But it's happening right now somewhere.
No, Coop, we're not head in the sand about this. We understand that this is a definite situation. I'm sorry that happened to you. I think what Perloff was saying is it's rare for a player near the stadium to get pulled over. I would say not get pulled over, but for it to escalate like this, especially someone who's as famous as Tyreek Hill. Yes, we get that this happens every day in our country, but for like a player in the shadow of the stadium, this is bizarre.
Well, then the question to ask Maggie is what would have to have happened for him to get that treatment? I guess that's the big question.
Well, that's what we want. I want to know. That's why Coop, I want to know the details here. Thank you for the phone call. And not because of some morbid curiosity. I think because this is an issue in this country, and I think that people have been pulled over, wrongly so, get upset about this, and they understand it. And I think that cops who get unfairly painted as all cops are bad, I think, get upset about this. So that's why I want to know the details.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 2 issues here. There's definitely the racial component of what happened there. And put that to the side for a second, and let's talk about Scotty Scheffler. Like, I think history is not giving enough credit for how idiotic it was to the Louisville police to bring him down to the... We saw on video what happened.
Yeah.
To bring him down to the station, make him change out of his golf clothes and put on an orange jumpsuit. Like there are certain situations where, like, the cops have to be aware of the PR. Like, that was insane, and my hunch is that this was way over the top. But I don't know.
855-212-4227. Andrew Bogish has headlines for us this morning. What's up?
Well, whether you or me or Perloff, the Giants are headed for another or their first rebuild. And if they do need a coaching change down the road, there should be a huge name with a connection to the organization available. Reports yesterday said Bill Belichick definitely wants to coach next season despite his blossoming media career. Bill will be picky, looking for the right situation with the right people. That might not be the Giants, but again, he helped the Giants win Super Bowls as Bill Parcells' defensive coordinator.
Wait, so now he can be picky?
Well, I gotta tell you, my immediate take was like...
The Falcons said no thank you, yes.
Well, I was like, can my Eagles box out the Giants here to get Belichick? Because I know he's close to Howie Roseman as well. I mean, Belichick, one thing, he nailed that Caleb Williams was inaccurate. That was one of his big points from the 17 shows he's on the weekend.
I don't know which show he said it on, or podcast or social media, but he said it.
Oh, no, there is no doubt. There is going to be a 5-team competition. There are a lot of teams that are going to want him.
I know. Guys, this shouldn't even be a headline. This isn't even news. Bill Belichick would rather coach than be in the media. No kidding.
I don't know if he wants a Giants, though, because he's a little older. Like, that's a full rebuild now. There might be a team on the brink of a Super Bowl that can compete. I know he has ties to the Giants, but I'm not sure that's a slam dunk.
And as you know, there's some quarterbacks who are picking up some steam for the next draft, but that's not supposed to be a huge, great class. So it's not like you take the Giants with a number 1 pick, you take that job because they're sitting on the next Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I mean, social media is putting Carson Beck in that ugly Giants uniform already. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, I think a team, that's a great question for Belichick. Do you want a team on the brink of a Super Bowl that needs a coach, or do you want a full rebuild?
Man, what a difference a year makes. He couldn't beat out Raheem Morris for the Falcons job last year. Other teams saying no thank you.
Well, the reality is Bill Belichick walks in your building and everyone's getting fired. That's why he didn't get the Atlanta job. People want to hold on to their jobs. But I think this year will be different because the Giants, there's no one to hold on to.
So the Giants are celebrating 100 years in the NFL, and all the players and coaches were back yesterday. Was Belichick there? I saw Parcells was there.
I didn't see Belichick.
I didn't see Belichick.
He couldn't have been there because that would have been somewhere. A picture of that would have been somewhere.
I'm kind of surprised because he does, people say, oh, he's got, 6 Super Bowls. And no, he has 8 because he won 2 as the Giants defensive coordinator.
Wait, who was at the Giants? I mean, the red zone that I watched a lot in the 1 o'clock hour, completely ignored that game for the entire time. Who was at this Giants game?
Everybody, all the Giants legends, Lawrence Taylor, Phil Sims, Parcells.
They had a huge event on Friday, and everyone they unveiled their top 100
above the stage. I was wondering what was going on. Did you guys see the drone show they put on?
I did. It was really cool.
Now, who was watching that?
The people at the stadium.
People came Friday night to watch a celebration?
Yes.
Yikes.
What?
That is, I mean, I know the
You're
traffic
telling
of that
me people
city.
in Philadelphia would not do that if you were doing 100 years of Eagles football? Is this that shocking to you?
It just feels
You
where
need a
the
second
Giants
night
are.
to fit in all those people.
They did a watch party for the game in Brazil.
Where the Giants are as an organization to have a Friday night celebration at that terrible stadium.
No, this is the only thing they can sell tickets for. Actually, something popped up on I got a pop-up that was like, hey, if you how to find cheap Giants tickets. I was like, let them play a few more games.
Wait, but
I'm going to have no problem getting into that stadium.
Friday night was free, right? They did not pay people to come see a drone show.
They might have paid people to come.
I mean,
yes.
sorry. They didn't make people pay. I assume that the fan celebration was free, right?
Maybe it was like for season ticket holders or something like that. I don't know the logistics. I mean, I would have never gone to it, but I'm not sure. I mean, people might have paid less than the normal ticket price to get in and see people be introduced and drones.
God, the Giants are going to own that 1 o'clock window. Man, they are not going to see.
It's like you haven't seen them. They've been playing at 1 o'clock. They're so bad.
No, but the broadcast networks tend to put the Giants in prime time.
The Giants and the Jets have been so bad that they finally, Fox and CBS, gave in and put them at the same 1 o'clock window. I spent the first 30 years of my life plus. There was a Giant game or a Jet game at 1. The other team played at 4 because they wanted to split the New York audience, and they don't even do that anymore because they're both so bad.
Don't worry, we're still getting Giants Cowboys in primetime.
Geez, they have a lot of primetime coming up, actually. They have Cowboys in 3
Bengals.
weeks. They got Seahawks in the 4:25 Fox window, and then the Bengals in primetime.
Oh, Giants at Pittsburgh. Ooh, who put that game on TV?
Is that a holiday game? When is that?
Do you consider October 28th to be a holiday?
No, I thought they put a game closer to Thanksgiving or like that was a primetime game. Not like the Thanksgiving game.
They're on Thanksgiving at the Giants.
I'll give you this. How about the Giants-Panthers overseas somewhere? That is going to be...
That's Germany, baby.
Germany.
Is that
That's
Germany?
The Germany
Yeah.
game.
Oh, geez. That's going to be
Poor
bad.
Germans.
We never send it. We always send the Germans out worse. Last year, they had to see Bailey Zappi throw one of the worst interceptions I ever seen.
But against Mahomes,
now they got
right?
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, we sent them to Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. Well, we sent them to Kansas City, but then they had that... Remember that 9-6 Colts Patriots game? I mean, that was one of the worst games I've seen in years.
There's actually a rumor that Belichick was going to get fired. They were going to leave him in Germany.
Right. Yeah. They were going to leave him there. They were like, get ready to learn German, Bill Belichick.
Coach the Rhine Fire.
All of a sudden, he's like, Guten Tag.
The Giants, by the way, lost yesterday 28-6. Daniel Jones was sacked 6 times. He threw 2 picks, one of which Andrew Van Ginkel returned for points, and then a guy waited around for Jones to leave the stadium to boo him directly to his face.
Guys, not a guy.
Meanwhile, a pick 6 was the difference
Families.
in Chicago.
Blitz coming. Levis in trouble and throws an interception in the flat. It's being returned for a touchdown by the Chicago Bears as he tried to throw it away. Levis pitched it forward. Stevenson caught it and raced into the end zone, and the Bears have the lead.
That throw is what mayonnaise cologne smells like. Mike Keith on Titans Radio. It was a backhanded flip towards the sideline while being sacked. Will Levis and the Titans literally giving away a 17-0 lead, losing in Chicago 24-17. Caleb Williams threw for just 93 yards, but is still the first QB taken number 1 overall to win his debut since David Carr in 2002. Only veteran QBs on Sunday Night Football. Jared Goff and the Lions blew a 17-3 lead on Matthew Stafford and the Rams, then won in overtime 26-20 on a 1-yard run by David Montgomery. LA also losing Puka Nacua to a right knee issue in the first half. Notre Dame is now 18th in the AP college football poll after paying $1.4 million to lose to Northern Illinois in South Bend. And Caitlin Clark had 26 points and 12 assists. Aaliyah Boston scored a career-high 30 in the Fever's 104-100 OT win over the Dream. Atlanta led by 16 points shortly after halftime. Guys, back to you.
I know Pat Boyle's not here, our resident Notre Dame fan, also Stu Kovac's big Notre Dame fan, but that was brutal.
But how good is Northern Illinois?
I'm loving Northern Illinois.
I'm like, how is that a G5 team? They looked awesome.
I think Notre Dame helped them out a little bit. You're right. They have veteran guys.
Yeah, they kept saying that they're all seniors and things. Like, they seem poised. Stuck around. They should have won by more.
No, I'm saying like they stuck around at Northern Illinois.
Oh, Northern Illinois. Yeah, I mean, a terrible loss for Notre Dame, but I was shocked how good that team they went up against was.
And how likable was their coach? Yeah.
My favorite thing about Northern Illinois is that the head coach was like, just give me all of the Wisconsin offensive linemen. Like, literally, their entire offensive line is from Wisconsin. They kept talking about it the whole game. It's like he watched Wisconsin during the Brett Bielema days and said, hey, I want that. So he just lived in Wisconsin for 2 or 3 years to find 5 offensive linemen, and suddenly they're like moving Notre Dame like there's some like FCS school. That was the funniest thing to me. I'm like, I hear you, man. Just go out there, get those big boys from Wisconsin, and maybe they should send them back to Wisconsin because they've had some rough years. But that was my favorite thing. That whole Wisconsin line was what did in Notre Dame yesterday or a couple days ago.
I mean, this guy Thomas Hammock instantly. Just one of the most likable people in college football.
Totally.
Can we hear a little the emotional post-game speech after Northern Illinois upset Notre Dame?
Listen, what you can do with the power of belief and working together and just staying through it, through thick and thin. That's what we are. That's a team. That's a family. That's guys that want it. I told you all week, we did not need luck. We did not need luck.
And now he's the new head coach of Florida. I'm just kidding. Screw you, family.
Yeah.
I'm out. No, it was really amazing.
I'll text you from the plane.
They had been through a lot. I think they went winless during the COVID year. Like, they had all these things. They had never beaten an opponent who was ranked this high before. And we were talking about Notre Dame, Pearl, after they go down to Texas A&M and beat the Aggies. Like, could this be the best defense in the country? And everyone's feeling themselves at Notre Dame. And then to lay an egg like this, I get why people are still a little unsure about Marcus Freeman. I mean, didn't they lose to, was it Tulsa last year?
Well, and they lost a similar thing to Marshall. Week 2 years ago. They paid them $1.2 million, and Marshall won there. And the defense, I mean, offensive line from Northern Illinois aside, was it 14-13 was the final, or 16-14? Like, that's enough defense to win that game.
Yeah.
Riley Leonard's supposed to be in there, fueling this offense, and they couldn't do anything against that kind of defense.
He was not good.
No, not even a little bit.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be talking about the defense as much as the offense and Riley Leonard. I thought he did well against A&M. He's running all around, using his legs.
But that's the thing about Riley Leonard. I mean, we talked about him as a potential NFL quarterback, and one of the reasons I didn't have Notre Dame in the college football playoff this year is because even at Duke, he just isn't that kind of thrower. And I thought Chris Sims had a very poignant point during the postgame where he's like, they got to stop playing like this is, Bill Walsh and Joe Montana running the West Coast offense. Like, Riley Leonard is at his best when he's a dual threat quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, he is, I know they want to promote him as an NFL quarterback. He is a dual threat guy. If they try to just drop back and throw 30 times, they're not going to win a lot of games.
And the question is, are they going to get into the college football playoff? I mean, if they beat USC at the end of the year, then that will probably be a good enough win to get them in. But that's the one thing about the 12 team. It's like, it's going to be so much about brand. And I know that it was a lot about brand even for the 4-team playoff. And I get that. You want the most watchable product. But Notre Dame is going to have to be getting by on the size of the fan base because
they just lost to Northern Illinois, and you're talking about getting into the playoff.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, I
if
bet
they win
will.
out, they're going to get in.
I know, but it's funny. Like, if you can't beat Northern Illinois, how are you going to beat all these other teams? I just feel like
you think they're going to lose to Purdue?
Well, I mean, they could easily lose. If you could lose to Northern Illinois, you could lose to a lot of the teams on here.
See, you lose to USC. USC, how high could they be ranked at that point?
I mean,
if USC somehow beats Ohio State, I mean,
well, that's the problem though about Notre Dame's schedule is that they don't have a lot of ways to show that they're good. So my thing is, if you lose to USC, you like, okay, maybe you're 10-2, but you have wins against who? Florida State. That's not going to do anything for you. Like, I think you look at a 10-2 Notre Dame team and said you lost to Northern Illinois and then you got blown out by USC, you're clearly not a playoff team.
Well, I
mean, we'll see if the brand comes into play, but I don't know if just winning out and only lose one more game gets them into the playoff.
I think you just need to win your next game. I wouldn't even talk about playoff if I was a Notre Dame fan. I understand what you guys are saying. They obviously could run the table, but you could lose to anybody if you could lose this game at home.
How are you feeling about Notre Dame? We know we're on in South Bend. We know we have a lot of Notre Dame fans in our audience, 855-212-4227. And how are you feeling about Marcus Freeman, who's had some of these hiccup losses that just seem really uncharacteristic? Perloff has an announcement.
Yep.
He won't say what it is. He won't tell us even behind the scenes. I have no idea. EJ, you don't know.
I have no idea, which terrifies me as an executive producer to say.
Bogish, I'm assuming you have no clue.
How would I? We don't hang out or talk or anything.
Bogish,
Nick, Ryan. I don't think anyone
Maybe
knows.
Nick knows.
Yeah. He told me during the break.
He texted you last night.
It's a doozy.
Perloff's got an announcement, so he's got the floor next. 855-212-4227 if you want to talk about Notre Dame.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I want to make this sort of a formal segment because it's important. It's serious. It kind of was on my mind all weekend, and I want to make a statement, if that's okay with you, Maggie.
Wow, I'm just going to lay out here.
Yeah.
You said you needed the floor. You won't tell us what's going on. You said last night, EJ, block off a segment because I have to make a formal statement, like a press conference. Like,
Yes.
Did you get arrested over the weekend or something?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
I'm just going to dive in. Okay. I have it scripted, so forgive me if I have to look down.
I don't believe any of this.
I, Andrew James Perloff, would like to officially apologize to Maggie Gray.
What?
I would say Margaret to make it more formal, but that's not your name. You're just a Maggie. On August 27th, you made a statement that I openly mocked, that Cam Jurgens would be one of the top 5 most impactful non-quarterbacks in the National Football League. More valuable than Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, and Justin Jefferson. I said, what, are you crazy? I laughed. EJ laughed too, by the way. He's in this. America laughed. There was a poll result that was 97% said you were off your rocker. We all had a good chuckle. Fast forward to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Friday night. Once again, my Eagles have to play on a slippery field. The NFL decided costing them a Super Bowl in Arizona wasn't enough after Philly fans were mean to Roger Goodell during the draft, but that's not what this is about. You were right. I was wrong. I thought that 2 years watching the best NFL center in Eagles history would teach you a thing or two about the position. I guess not, Cam Jurgens. No leverage on the tush push, snapping at random times, generally not being able to organize the offense. Maggie, you were right. I was wrong. Maybe next time, when you act like the sky is falling, even though the Bills win, or question how hard it is to play offensive line, I will not scoff. I will not laugh. I will not tag Pat McAfee on social media so he can come after you. I will listen respectfully. So, Maggie, I think I speak for Eagles Nation, for everyone here, Ryan, Nick, EJ, Bogush, Odyssey Management. I sincerely apologize. I'd also kind of like to apologize for scoffing in your statement of how bad it was for the Packers to sign Malik Willis right before the season.
Thank you.
But honestly, I think you owe the Packers fan base an apology for jinxing the team. So you might want to make a formal announcement now to them.
Wait a minute. Hold on. First of all, I accept. I was almost laughed out of the studio when I had Cam Jurgens as my 5th most important non-quarterback going into the season. And you're like, Cam Jurgens, you can just put anybody to play center. I'm like, all right, the tush push is your secret weapon. And he was snapping the ball God knows where. I thought Jason Kelsey was going to trot out of the field. If they could have gotten him to Brazil in time, he would have subbed in for Cam Jurgens.
That was a mess. It wasn't just first of all, the tush push didn't work. The officials are out for it. Like there was one where he was like landed about a foot over the line. They're like, didn't make it. Like the NFL, and they changed the rule so the guys who are doing the tush push can't stand right behind them. They hate the tush push and they're after it big time.
So just QB sneak like the rest of the other 31 teams.
Yeah, but then the QB sneak, I saw Justin Fields did a QB sneak and they weren't pushing him from behind, and it didn't work.
Didn't get it. And so that was the first I told you so of Friday. And the second I told you so was I was called an alarmist because I merely pointed out the fact that to have signed Malik Willis about 2.5 weeks before the season starts when he has 0 career starts to come in and just be the backup for Jordan Love. I said, you know what? I'm a little surprised by that. And you guys are like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And meanwhile, last play of the game, second to last play of the game, third to last play, whatever. Thank you. Jordan Love.
We'll get there.
Twists his knee. He's going to miss anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks, and hopefully it's just that amount of time.
First of all, Malik Willis has 3 starts. I just want to point that out.
Well, I wish
Former
he had
Liberty
0
star.
because they all sucked.
I think we all thought, well, if Jordan Love gets hurt, the season's over anyway. And the odds of it being this weird limbo where he's coming back in 6 weeks with a knee injury, I did not see that coming. And there is generally a feel like, I don't know, can they hold on until he gets back? Malik Willis, I'll tell you right now, he didn't let it go on the Hail Mary. He's just going to run. He's just going to run.
And when everyone knows you're just running, it gets a little harder. And by the way, Noah Eagle, even on the broadcast, says he just got here. He's still learning the playbook. I'm like, thank you. I don't know Packers fans an apology. I never jinxed them. I never said I wanted this to happen. I merely pointed it out and was called an alarmist.
Yes. No, we apologize. But actually,
now I will say, ring the alarm, Packer fans. You're in trouble.
This is trouble time.
Well,
Perloff
you know
and I
what?
both have the Packers going to the Super Bowl.
Peter Schrager, NFL Network, who always gets Super Bowl right, said don't panic, and he seems to be a seer when it comes to this. Can we talk about one thing, and I haven't mentioned them once this whole show? That is a miracle that the Eagles won that game because they looked like hot garbage for 90% of it, except for Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley looked really good.
But they were disorganized. Cam Jurgens was snapping it to who knows where. Their defense can't tackle a single person. Somehow they won. I have no idea how.
I accept
Thank you.
Apologies. And it takes a big man to apologize.
I had no choice.
You really didn't. It was that bad. And I did point it out on social media several times. I basically shamed you into it. Lots to do, including our NFL in 60 segment. Every game we break down in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Cowboys dominant on the day that Dak Prescott signs the biggest deal in the history of the NFL. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. 33-17. It didn't even feel that close. I mean, Dallas really took Cleveland to the woodshed here. And, you know, I'd like to say that the offense really was the story for Dallas. I actually think the defense was more the story. Mike Zimmer's defense looked great. They sacked Deshaun Watson 6 times. Now, Cleveland was missing both of their tackles. And Watson threw 2 interceptions. He held on to the ball. He had bad throws. And according to Micah Parsons after the game, Perloff, defensively, he said, quote, "We didn't even open up our full bag." Ooh. The run defense allowed 3 rushers to combine for 93 yards. And versus pressure, Deshaun Watson was 5 of 17 for 22 yards. I mean, it was defensively, they really stymied Cleveland.
Yeah, they had pressure on 44% of Deshaun Watson's dropbacks. You know, they got this guy, Marshawn Nealon, in the draft, and then Demarion Overshawn, who was hurt last year, who's basically a rookie. And obviously, Deron Bland is out, and this kid, Kalen Carson, comes in and does fine, who's a 5th-round pick at corner. They are in a bit of a hot streak drafting. So that makes me kind of nervous about them as an Eagles fan. Like, wow, they look really good. Maybe, but it's hard to tell in week 1. Is this a function of Deshaun Watson specifically being bad?
If you're Cleveland, if you're a Browns fan, I saw a little of this on social media yesterday, but you've got to be feeling so helpless. And this is a team that cycled through quarterbacks for years and years. It became a joke, Pearl, to list all the terrible quarterbacks that the Browns have had. And meanwhile, you're watching Baker Mayfield go light it up yesterday. Granted, they're playing against the Commanders. I don't know how good the Commanders are going to be, but Baker Mayfield throws 4 touchdowns in that game. He looks great. He's got all these weapons. You paid all this money to get Deshaun Watson in this big sweepstakes where, you know, you're trying to get what we thought was a great quarterback, and he's just dreadful. Because here's the thing about missing both of your tackles. We watched Matthew Stafford last night. The Rams lost in overtime to the Detroit Lions. They have issues all over their offensive line. Stafford's still able to find his receivers. That's when you pay a guy this much money or you think that he's going to be this good of a quarterback, you have to think he can overcome certain things. Now, not everything, not all stuff, but he can't overcome anything. Watson is just a disaster. And it's only going to get worse because the pressure's only going to build and mount on the coaching staff, on the front office, and everything.
I'll just say that he needs a lot of reps there so that it can get better. I mean, it can't get worse.
It could get worse. He could get hurt again.
Well, I'm just saying it can definitely get better. I mean, that's a low bar to get better. One thing about Watson, I will say he moved pretty good. Like, unfortunately, he was moving a lot.
Backwards.
Yeah, but he was running around a little bit. And you actually saw, like, people are asking what happened to the Houston Deshaun Watson. Like, he did look like he had his legs underneath him, which is something that we haven't seen necessarily. It will get better. And again, that is not a huge compliment.
No, it's not. I mean, I guess it's like
saying,
rock bottom sort of right now. My only worry about this is, and again, we're giving credit here to the Dallas defense, who looked really good yesterday, but Deshaun Watson looked bad. And I feel like it's his shoulder might be a ticking time bomb.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Jameis is going to play this year. There's no doubt about that.
He will.
It's interesting because I wasn't willing to hold off on Will Levis, but I do think that you have to give some guys a semi-pass on week one. I don't think that the ceiling has come down so much on Deshaun Watson. No one expects him to be the all-star he was in Houston. But can he be at least mediocre and let the defense win? And you look skeptical of even that.
Very skeptical. Extremely skeptical. Yeah. And especially because, Myles Garrett is always a factor, but not so much yesterday, right? And it's
well, I don't know. He did blow Guyton away a couple times.
Right, but it's like this vaunted Cleveland defense. I don't know.
I mean, Dallas was
moving the ball.
But Dallas was not going back with deep drops and looking down the field that much.
That is true. 855-212-4227. What I want to know is all the people and the Cowboy fans who jumped off the bandwagon, are you back in after what you saw week one?
You know the answer to that.
What do you think the ceiling is for the Cowboys?
Well, everyone's back in. I mean, they couldn't have had a better week.
I'd be back in.
They signed CeeDee Lamb and they signed Dak Prescott and they won their first game convincingly. So I think the Cowboys fans have some amnesia about what happened last year in the playoffs.
See, but I was under the impression that a lot of Cowboys fans didn't want Dak back anyway.
It seemed to change. I think what happened over the offseason, and maybe this is the least way I viewed it, quarterbacks around the league got so expensive. Tua signed for $200, Jordan Love signed for $200, Trevor signed, that I think Cowboys fans had to be realistic, saying, oh, gosh, there's not going to be a market. Stafford may or may not be available next year. So I think the Cowboys had to look at the market and say, yeah, we're better off with Dak because everybody else is getting paid.
855-212-4227. All right, that's a little what's going on with the Cowboys. They're the headliner. Tom Brady's debut. Not exactly what we were expecting from the greatest quarterback of all time. Not that insightful, turns out. Maybe he'll get better, and maybe we'll get some real gems, but we did not get that yesterday. He basically just said the same thing over and over again, that it's very hard to get first downs when you're at 1st and 20.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Goated.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
He's like, Mike Zimmer's looks are very challenging for the quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm like, you mean
picking up on
his
that.
defensive looks, just so we know. Mike Zimmer, fine-looking man.
Yeah. A real 10. Let's get to the NFLIn60.
Maggie and Perloff take you around the league, recapping this weekend's football action. Time for NFLIn60.
1 minute for every game that we saw yesterday, Perloff. Let's kick it off with that Pittsburgh-Atlanta game. Pittsburgh 18, Atlanta 10. Atlanta had to go to the silent count because the Steeler fans had invaded the stadium. Justin Fields gets a start. I don't think he did enough to hold on to the job, though. They did not score an offensive touchdown. I think you'll see Russell Wilson week 2.
Yeah, who cares? TJ Watt's going to single-handedly win that game. Not only did he destroy everybody, the way he did it, he's so charismatic now. His arms are flailing when he's rushing the passer like a Tasmanian devil. I'm telling you, MVP watch. Like real big MVP.
Meanwhile, Kirk Cousins, turns out this might be just a fundamentally flawed thing in Atlanta where you have all these skill position players, but you're not able to do anything on offense. And Cousins clearly still working his way back from the Achilles. We were just talking to Andrew Bogusch in the break about how much he was in shotgun. Not going to be under center. The mobility was never really there for Kirk. And now, not much. So, there you go. Are we getting a buzzer or something?
Yeah, that.
Right. There we go.
All right.
There we go. That's good. Let's move on. My Buffalo Bills get a win at home, 34-28 over the Arizona Cardinals. Perloff, let's just call it what it is. Buffalo should not have won that game. There should have been a defensive penalty called on the final play that should have put Arizona at the goal line with a 1st and goal with under a minute left to go. They would have punched it in, and they should have left Buffalo with a win. They didn't get the call.
Can we just talk about it from a fantasy football perspective?
Sure.
Josh Allen's going to pull a Cam Newton 2015. Is he going to hand the ball off in the red zone at all, or is he's like, I'm getting every touchdown?
He might, and I don't know what it's going to cost him.
Well, it cost him his wrist.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, is this borderline stupid? Like, dude, you're in a close game with Arizona at home. You're going to probably win the game. Like, you can do other things in the red zone besides carry the ball and dive.
I don't know if they were probably winning anything. They needed Josh Allen to be hero.
They outscored him at 28-3 during one stretch. Honestly.
Yeah, but then they let him back in the game with
because
the
of a
DJ
kick
Dallas.
return. A kick return. That nobody else even came close to a dynamic kick return touchdown.
Meanwhile, not much from Marvin Harrison Jr. 1 catch on 4 targets. Let's move on. Bears get a win improbably, 24-17. Will Levis, horrible decision-making as he's going to the ground, decides to throw it right into the arms of a Bears defensive player who had a pick 6. It was 17-16 Titans with 8 minutes left to go in the 4th quarter, and they just gave the game away.
I mean, Will Levis, forget it. I just do not see it happening. They pay Calvin Ridley all this money. They pay Nuke Hopkins all this money. Those guys did nothing because either there was no protection or Will Levis just doesn't know how to throw the ball downfield. This is a mess. They need a quarterback. On the other side of the ball, the Bears defense looked pretty salty. I think Matt Eberflus's haircut did well. Caleb Williams, you really cannot drop him back too many times. He's just not ready to go.
14 for 29 for 93 yards, Caleb Williams.
Again, just like I said earlier in the segment, it can't get worse. Well, maybe it can. He didn't throw any picks.
Don't know about that. Let's move on. The upset of the day. The New England Patriots go into Cincinnati. They win 16-10. They knock the entire country out of all of their survivor pools, including me. Jamar Chase, who's been in a prolonged contract situation on hold out, hold in with the team, allegedly had food poisoning that he was dealing with on Saturday night. He had 6 catches for 62 yards. This probably shouldn't have... Listen, the Bengals played bad, but that Gesicki touchdown that gets wiped out in the end zone, that looked like a touchdown to me. On the very next play, player gets stripped for a turnover. Mm-hmm. They gave up a lot of yards on the ground. The Cincinnati defense couldn't tackle. New England got 11 first downs via the rush, Perloff.
So last year, in the same spot, the Bengals lost 24-3 to the Browns in week 1. They don't like week 1. Last year, Joe Burrow threw 82 yards in week 1. This year, he's done better than that. The Bengals just mail in these early games. They don't care. Or they don't play in preseason or something. Anyway, I'm not alarmed. I'm not sounding the alarm. T. Higgins will be back eventually. Chase will end his holdout. It's fine.
Let's move on. Houston gets a win over Indianapolis, 29-27. Stephon Diggs, great debut for Houston. 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon, also a good debut, 159 yards and a touchdown. C.J. Stroud, no turnovers. I actually thought the story of this game was Anthony Richardson's arm. I know they lost the game, but man, is this dude the most exciting quarterback to watch in the NFL outside of Mahomes?
Yeah, I mean, when it works. I mean, he only had 9 completions on the day, but when it works, it's amazing. And even the misses are exciting. He does overthrow guys sometimes. Of course he does. He's got the strongest arm I've ever seen.
He's got 2 touchdown passes of 50-plus yards in this game and a touchdown run.
This is actually a big game because I think the Texans' biggest threat might be the Colts. That being said, Joe Mixon. If Joe Mixon plays like this, then we definitely have to put the Texans as Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I was surprised that the score was that it was as close, and it was close throughout the entire game, especially because Houston, time of possession, they held the ball for 40 minutes in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they were up 29-20 at the end. It didn't really get too scary for them.
Dolphins 20, Jags 17, a day that started with Tyreek Hill and Calais Campbell both in handcuffs. Tyreek Hill taken to the ground by a police officer because of a driving incident that happened in the shadow of the stadium. He was detained. So that was basically the headliner here. How the game actually went was a terrible Travis Etienne fumble basically at the goal line that set up a Jason Sanders 52-yard field goal to win the game.
I think it's a big moment for the Jaguars. Like, how does Travis Etienne respond to this? I know I know you could see by his face he cost them the game. How does Trevor Lawrence? How does Doug Peterson? Like, it's now or never for the Jags.
We had a caller earlier in the show say Trevor Lawrence has not gotten better under Press Taylor. The offensive coordinator, Doug Peterson, I don't even know who's calling the plays. It's always back and forth between those two guys. I don't know if Lawrence has gotten better, but Brian Thomas Jr. is a dude. Wide receiver from LSU, and their first-round pick looks awesome.
Yeah, they should have come out of this game 1-0. And again, that division's tough, so they can't mess it up.
Let's move on. This is the Maggie and Perloff NFL in 60, 1 minute on every game. The shocker of the day, just because of the score. New Orleans 47, Carolina 10. New Orleans scored on their first 9 possessions, Perloff, and it was a banner day for Derek Carr. 19 for 23, 3 touchdowns. This Clint Kubiak offense looking spry.
Yeah, can we talk about Taysom Hill has not lost a step. Guess how old Taysom Hill is? The New Orleans tight end or whatever. He's
50.
34. Oh. He's 34. He still runs a 4.5. He's the biggest freak the NFL has ever had. He doesn't make any sense as a player whatsoever. I was, of course, blown away by the Saints, but does this mean anything? The Panthers might be that bad, Maggie.
The Panthers are awful. They had 11 first downs the entire game. 2 came from penalties. They had 58 rushing yards as a team. And Bryce Young, just woof, 13 for 30, 161 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Granted, they're trailing the entire game. I mean, he didn't have a prayer in this one. And it could be a long season.
He ran in a touchdown and almost fumbled it out of the back of the end zone. He looked so nervous and shaken by the pass rush. Terrible.
Speaking of bad teams, the Giants lose to Minnesota 28-6 at home. Fans of the New York Giants stuck around after the game specifically to boo Daniel Jones as he's heading to his car. I mean, even for New York, that's really bad. 42 pass attempts for Daniel Jones, only 186 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold used to play in that very stadium when he was a member of the Jets. This one went way better. 19 for 24, 2 touchdowns. He did have an interception. He completed his first 12 passes, Pearl.
Yeah, he looked great. Seems to have a connection with Justin Jefferson. I'm excited for him to be mediocre, and that is way above your expectations.
Right.
Kevin O'Connell's a pretty good offensive coach. Now, the Giants, I'm okay with this. Rock bottom. I feel like, remember the Sixers and the process? They're processing right now. They're going to start all over again if it keeps up like this.
Yeah, not on purpose. They paid Daniel Jones $40 million. And
well, they already are in the world of regret about that. I think they've given up on him.
As for Minnesota, we'll see what happens when they host San Francisco next week. Okay, let's go to the Chargers and the Raiders. Jim Harbaugh's debut is a winner. Chargers win 22-10. This was really the J.K. Dobbins show. 135 rushing yards on 10 carries. He had a 46-yard run and a 61-yard run midway through the fourth quarter when it was a one-score game. Antonio Pierce getting a ton of criticism today, punting on 4th and 1 at the Chargers 43 when you're trailing by 6 with 7 minutes to play, Pearl.
What's the difference? The Raiders' offense was so non-threatening the entire game. There were a few passes from Minshew to Adams that looked good, but I have no idea what the Raiders are doing. Do you know? What's the plan?
I don't know what the plan is. The Chargers defense had 3 takeaways. Meanwhile, Tyree Wilson, the first-round draft pick from 2 years ago, hurt his left knee. And by the way, the Raiders have to go to Baltimore next week. So good luck with all that.
Chargers never pass the ball, but Ladd McConkey with a nice little nifty move at the end zone. I like that.
I did see that. And I got to hand it to you. You said Justin Herbert was going to kind of be the afterthought here to the run game, and you were right.
Oh, which is exactly how Harbaugh wants it.
Seattle 26, Denver 20. Kenneth Walker, 84 of his 103 rushing yards came in the second half. This was really, Seattle just looked awful in the first half and then really started to clean things up in the second half. Bo Nix had 42 pass attempts in his debut, 138 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdown, although did have a rushing touchdown. Denver got 2 safeties in the second quarter. This is a weird game. Bo Nix was a little shaky, but you get the sense that Sean Payton's really holding his hand through this thing.
Yeah, very shaky. There was a position where it looked like they might get a third safety because they had the Seahawks pinned. That would have been awesome. Honestly, this game put the sport of NFL football back about 30 years. It was awful. Although I did like Geno had a sweet run. So I'm all about Geno Smith. I'm all about these sort of middle-aged journeyman quarterbacks showing up and showing out.
Journeyman quarterbacks had a really big day yesterday. Okay, we mentioned before, Dallas 33, Cleveland 17. Didn't feel that close. For Cleveland, Deshaun was just bad. He was sacked 6 times, missing both of his tackles, threw the 2 picks. He was holding on to the ball. Dallas said they were just playing some kind of vanilla defense, and that was enough to completely flummox Cleveland.
Yeah, for me, the big issue with the Cowboys, will they be able to stop the run, and can they run the ball at all? With Ezekiel Elliott, they definitely stopped the run, so that's a nice sign. We'll see if that keeps up against better teams. And then, it's funny, I thought Elliott looked okay. I had very low expectations for him. He looked kind of, how do I say this, chunky in the preseason, but he didn't play that way at all.
Also, how do you not give him his old number back?
That was weird, right?
15? So odd. Meanwhile, David Njoku left with an ankle injury, so that's just something to keep an eye on for Cleveland. We're motoring along here. 2 games left. The Bucs, big win over Washington, 37-20. Baker Mayfield throws 4 touchdowns in this game. But let's talk about the Jayden Daniels side of things, Pearl. 8 first downs on his legs. Yep. Had a rushing touchdown. Big RPO game, which is basically what you'd expect with Cliff Kingsbury. How did you think Jayden Daniels did?
I thought he looked good. Now, there was some near misses. He had overthrew McLaurin and what should have been a touchdown. He hit that play at LSU, so I know he can do it. Could not get the offense organized at all. They had to use all these timeouts, so that was a problem. And then it was, for some reason, the officials wanted to call every little block downfield a penalty, so they could have scored a lot more than 20 points. I think of the rookies, he was the most promising to me.
He definitely had the best day, but the bar's not that high because Caleb was not good, and we said Bo Nix looked shaky, but that somewhat promising. We do have one more. Quickly, it was overtime. Rams and the Lions. Cue up the music again. Lions win this one.
Well, you have to take a break between the 4 o'clock games and the 7 o'clock games.
26-20. Listen, Lions, I guess, stay true to the identity, although I was a little surprised that Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta weren't a little bit more involved in the offense here. It kind of came down to whoever got the ball in overtime. Yep. The other team was just so tired, they couldn't stop whoever it was. And I think Matthew Stafford showed a lot of people what he's known for, the calling card, which is the arm strength, of course, but the grit.
Yeah, it's amazing. Cooper Kupp is back. He had a catch on the sideline where somehow in a full sprint, he got both toes down. I don't even know how he did it. He looks like MVP form Cooper, or actually Offensive Player of the Year form Cooper Kupp. Detroit is going to run the ball a lot. I mean, with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, you could probably do a lot of damage that way. Goff threw the dumbest interception at the end of the game. Everybody who was leading on Sunday, everybody just kept on making dumb plays and giving away leads. I think there were 4 games where teams blew 14-point leads. The Lions got lucky to not cost them the game.
Coming up, we are going to take ourselves to the Bay Area. We're going to check in before Aaron Rodgers faces the San Francisco 49ers tonight. Get a little boots on the ground reporting of what's going on before this Monday Night Football special. It's Maggie and Perloff. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. So much going on. We almost forgot, Maggie. Kind of the game of the week is tonight.
Yep.
I cannot wait to see what happens to this Jets-Niners game. Actually, it was the Niners who had all the drama in the offseason, but Aaron Rodgers is back.
A little bit of a role reversal. Usually we're talking about all this weird stuff that happens with the Jets, but no, this time it was the 49ers who were full of drama. You're so right. Zack Rosenblatt is joining us from the Bay Area. He covers the Jets for The Athletic. Zach, thanks so much for getting up early for us. If you want to watch this, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet. That looks like a Marriott, maybe a Hyatt. Thanks for doing it, pal. Okay, so you wrote this big piece about Aaron Rodgers that's dropped right now that's on The Athletic website, and it's about Rodgers being this very polarizing figure nationally, but in his hometown of Chico, California, which is about 3 hours from San Francisco, he is a hero. Explain why.
Yeah, I flew to Chico kind of because of that. And, he obviously is such a polarizing figure, and there's people who really despise him, who aren't like Jets or Packers fans. So I wanted to go to his hometown and see what they felt about him. And, I went and talked to a lot of people, and, he's donated like millions of dollars to help with the forest fires. He's He's helped his high school in so many ways over the years, buying them equipment, getting them transportation to, their championship runs. And during COVID, he basically saved like over 160 businesses, something like that. So, he's a complicated figure, and I get why people don't like him, but I also think it is important to peel back the curtain sometimes and show who these people are from where and how people feel about them, where they're from.
Zach, you're just making him more confusing. I would say to Maggie in the break, God, I don't remember. Am I supposed to like or dislike Aaron Rodgers? Because I was watching this weekend. He had this incredibly charming interview with Alex Smith where they both had this heartfelt conversation about recovery. But then you remember, oh man, he can be really abrasive at times. So I don't know. Do you like Aaron Rodgers?
I don't know if I like or dislike him. I think he's a complicated figure. I don't agree with a lot of things he says, certainly, but I don't think anybody should be necessarily defined by their opinions. And I know he's had some, troubling ones and all that. It's a complicated conversation, but I do think it is important to, if you want to highlight the bad stuff, highlighting the good stuff is also, I think part of the story.
Interesting. You don't define him by his opinions. What do you define him by?
That's a fair question.
His actions?
His actions. Yeah. His actions, yeah, I think that's the right answer, honestly. The things he does. I mean, it's a combo of both. You define him by his opinions and his actions, frankly. So that's why he's so complicated.
Zack Rosenblatt's joining us. He covers the Jets for The Athletic. Big game tonight, of course. I think we're all holding our breath to see how Rodgers is going to hold up physically. Zach, you've been around this team all throughout the preseason. What have you seen from Rodgers in terms of his Achilles and how he's looking?
I mean, he's looked really good. He's looked like he did last summer. In practice, he's always going to be a star, I think, because he's such an accurate thrower of the football. And when he knows he can't get hit, he's going to do a lot of things that most people can't do. So my biggest question this whole time is I expect him to look as good as he did. He looked pretty good moving from what I could tell. But how is he going to look when, the bullets are actually flying, when guys are coming to take his head off? When he takes that first hit, does he get back up? Is he hesitant to run? All these things, we don't know until we see it. So, he's 40 coming off an Achilles. These are all things that indicate he would, be slower and hits would be harder to come up from. So that's the thing I have my eye on most to start this game tonight, because you just don't know how he's going to, he can say he's not worried about it and the team can say they're not worried about it. But I think it's fair to be concerned about how he's going to come up from that first hit from Nick Bosa or whoever it is.
Zach, what's your sense of this game in particular? I imagine that they've circled this on the calendar forever. It's, Rodgers grew up a 49ers fan, and the Jets feels like they're chomping at the bit to get their full team out there. Does this game mean something special to the Jets? Obviously, every game does, but it feels like they're going to be raring to go.
Yeah, there's so many storylines here. You have the Rodgers thing, obviously, and him being from the Bay Area. And Robert Saleh was in San Francisco for so long. Jeff Ulbrich was a longtime player there, the defensive coordinator. They have a bunch of players on their roster who were with the 49ers. So there's a lot going into this game. And I think the Jets are considered underdogs in this game. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of games that are necessarily underdogs this year, when you just look at them talent-wise. So I think they are pretty motivated to prove to people that, that's not the same old Jets. As Aaron Rodgers said the other day, if they win, everybody's going to be like, this is a Super Bowl team. And if they lose, everybody's going to be like, same old Jets. And so I think they're motivated to get the former more than the latter, because they're kind of tired of that whole narrative, I would say.
Zack Rosenblatt's joining us, senior writer for The Athletic, who covers the Jets. I'm sure no one would say this publicly because they wouldn't want to give the other team bulletin board material. But have you gotten a sense from any of the Jets players, Zach, that some of the 49ers drama from this offseason, whether it's Ayuk's contract, Trent Williams holding out, the very serious situation with Ricky Pearsall, where thankfully he's going to be okay, as he was shot as he was robbed in broad daylight for his Rolex watch. And losing the Super Bowl, quite frankly, in overtime in the way they did. Has anyone from the Jets even privately said, man, maybe we're catching a team that could be still trying to get their feet under them with all these offseason issues that popped up?
Not really. To the Jets' credit, this offseason, I think, and you guys probably know this, in past offseasons, they had a tendency to put the cart before the horse. They talk about themselves too much, get a little too excited, think they've accomplished something before they do. This offseason, the tone has really, really changed, where it's really has been very business-like. As Robert Saleh said, nobody really talks like that. They've really just been focused on the day-to-day and winning right now. So I think they look at the 49ers as a very talented team. They've been planning as if Trent Williams and Ayuk were going to be there the whole time. as you alluded to earlier, the Jets have their own drama usually, so they're not going to blame anybody else for having theirs. And they have their Hassan Reddick thing also, so it's not like they have nothing going on. But so I don't see them as looking at the 49ers as vulnerable. I think they view that as a very talented team that they have to come to play against.
Hey, did you notice AFC East went 3-0 on Sunday? It feels like this is all of a sudden going to be a very challenging division. How much confidence do you have in the Jets' chances of winning this division?
That did not go as I expected yesterday, especially with how the game started and the Patriots winning. I do think the Jets have a really good chance because I really do think this is the most talented team in the division. They have a lot of things that could quickly go wrong and turn the season. Like if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, if this offensive line doesn't live up to the hype, if any of their young stars get hurt, then all of a sudden you're looking at potential disaster. And, you can question this coaching staff and all that stuff. But I think on paper, this is the most talented team in the division. And if you're the most talented team in the division with a quarterback, like if Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, they absolutely can win the division. I still think that they have to, they have to beat the Bills at the end of the day. I think that's the team that they have their eye on, is what I would say.
Zack Rosenblatt, you can read him on The Athletic. Got a new piece out right now about Aaron Rodgers and his connection to his hometown of Chico, which sounded like a place I would have wanted to party in 1987 when Playboy magazine named Chico State the biggest party school in the country. But this is great. Rodgers helping out not only his former high school, but a lot of the businesses who struggled during the pandemic. We say we always only point out things when we criticize these athletes, but he's doing good in that community. Zack, thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the game tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate that. Zack Rosenblatt from The Athletic.
Man, a lot riding on tonight's game. I mean, because the narrative's going to be set. If it goes badly, then Saleh is already in a hole.
We will make our pick for that game in just a moment, but Andrew Bogish is here with headlines.
And guys, they were up 17-3, then down 20-17, fought their way to overtime with a last-second field goal, and then let David Montgomery get them a win with a 1-yard TD run midway through extra time. Lions head coach Dan Campbell loves his veteran running back.
He runs heavy. He's tough. He's physical. He gets in a rhythm, and I think he's a catalyst for us, He starts carrying it, and he gets better and better, and I think the line feeds off of him, and he feeds off of them, and we get what we get. So that guy's a stud.
Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs combining for 131 yards, each scoring once as the Lions down the Rams 26-20 on Sunday Night Football.
I think Dan Campbell's in the early lead for best commercial.
Oh, no way.
I like Case Keenum's commercial.
Oh,
it's
come
great.
on.
Case is in a Progressive commercial as the backup dad who has to come in and park and get the car out of the garage or whatever.
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
You haven't seen the Case Progressive guy?
I think it was the first commercial on Big Noon Saturday on Fox, and I saw it 6 times. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. But I think Dan Campbell, the Applebee's one, it kind of won me over where he's covering his face.
Well, we do have a show disagreement. I'm sorry, I'm such an idiot. I feel like Kevin Hart and LeBron doing the touchdown dances is still kind of funny, and you do not like it. You're over that.
Nah.
Oh, come on. It's kind of funny.
Nah, I like the Campbell one because it's new. It's different,
They run it every single commercial of every game.
I know.
It's been 1,000 times.
I'm going to hate it by next week. But
Progressive owns the commercial space. The Progressive dad is the funniest thing on TV. There's no sitcoms anymore, and now all the comedy writers do insurance ads. But you're right. It is good. Dan Campbell is having a moment, I think. I think everyone's high on Dan Campbell. If they had lost last night, we would have killed him.
Except for Pete.
I was waiting for a key 4th down last night. I was watching, waiting. He did go for it one time, but man, if he cost his, because you're waiting for that, Maggie. That's your only downside on the
I know,
Lions.
we just have to fast forward to the NFC Championship game when you're leading by 3 scores.
Yeah, McVay did it last night. McVay had the weird push on 4th down instead of the field goal.
That was weird.
He never goes for it on 4th down. He's very conservative usually. Sean McVay. For being this wonderkin offensive genius, he's a pretty conservative dude.
He and the Rams leaving Motown with injury concerns as well, losing 2 offensive linemen and, most importantly, Puka Nacua, a right knee problem the first half. He did not return. Dak Prescott celebrating that new contract by leading the Cowboys to a 33-17 rout in Cleveland. They only needed to throw for 179 yards and 1 score. Dak said post-game teammates giving him their wrist sizes, assuming he's buying them watches with that 4-year, $240 million deal. All but $9 million is guaranteed. That's a record, as is the $60 million annual average value.
He could buy us all watches.
Like all of us.
All of us.
Like the country?
Yes.
Everyone gets a Rolex?
America.
Oprah style?
Why did he do this earlier, Bogus? Why didn't he do this 3 weeks ago?
Was he the one not doing it?
I don't know. Why didn't somebody do it 3 weeks ago?
Somebody do something.
Somebody just like, why on earth would you go to the Sunday? I think that Jerry had the deal done, but didn't want to do it because he's the TV guy. He didn't want to do it on Thursday or Friday night because it was streaming. No. I think secretly Jerry did all these streaming deals, and he's like, I want to make it work. I want to make it work, Maggie.
Still not getting any better.
Nope.
Can I tell you guys?
Wait, that was Jerry Jones?
Yeah, no, it was Andrew Bogish. Can I tell you the quick story about? So I lost this bet to Perloff about Dak Prescott's contract. It's done. I'm over. I've got to go sit at the Waffle House for 24 hours.
Yep.
And for every waffle I eat, I get an hour off the 24. It's going to be brutal. I'm going to be. You're going to take me out of there in a wheelbarrow.
I
basically.
can't wait.
I'm going to be crawling. I'm lucky if I'm not in a body bag. This is going to be a devastating 24 hours.
I'm excited to sit in the booth next to you and just leisurely eat a waffle that I truly enjoy and then leave when I want to.
Then get up and leave.
Yeah.
Wow, foxhole.
I'm
Logish,
psyched.
thanks for the support.
Are you as psyched as I am when the bacon's on the side and you get the syrup on the bacon? I love that.
You guys, you want me to leave you alone for a second?
Can't wait.
Should I get
No,
a
we'll be
room
there. That's
for
going to be
that
a really
bacon
fun
syrup
37 minutes in that Waffle House.
and then tack on another 12 hours for me if I'm lucky.
So set the scene, Maggie. Like, you must have been really upset.
I was when I eventually got the news. So I took my kid to like a farm, first like pumpkin farm of the season, just me and him. And he wanted to go into this corn maze. And the guy warned me at the front. He's like, it's kind of challenging. So just like stay to the right and like you should be in good shape. 25 minutes later, my kid's like, I want to get out. I want to get out right now. We're completely lost in the corn maze. We keep going back to the same thing, dead ends. We're going in circles. My kid's starting to freak out. He's 5. I'm saying, well, get a donut when you're done. You know, everything to try to keep him calm. I end up having to call the place, the front desk, from the middle of the corn maze. I'm like, hi, I'm stuck in your corn maze with my 5-year-old. Can you send somebody to come and get us? They're like, no.
Yeah,
Did they
what do you
believe
say?
you right away?
When they're like, where are you? We just said, I'm near the corn. What would you say? How would they know where you are?
Well, send somebody. Somebody's got to know this thing like the back of their hand. Who made it?
But how do they describe where you are unless they're following like a...
Shout to me. Like, follow the sound of my voice.
Oh, I thought you meant like have a Find My app or something. Yeah.
No, I was going to die in there. It would have been terrible. She's like, look up and you'll see the tree line. And whatever tree line you see, just cut through the corn. So my kid, I have to send him in first. So he's basically, we're bushwhacking through the corn, like not even in the maze. And my kid comes out and he's got all these like cuts and stuff on the sides of his face because I had to push him in first because he also he wanted to go in front because he was... I don't think he was scared. I just
sounds like he was. Yeah, rightfully so.
I was scared. I thought we were never going to get out. And then it starts to feel like The Shining a little bit.
Sure.
I know that's not a corn maze. It was another type of maze. But I'm like, nobody's in here. It was really weird. And we ended up finally getting out. And it was on the complete other side. It was a disaster. And then I found out that Dak Prescott signed. I'm like, crap.
Wow.
Today can't get any worse.
In.
The Bills were going to lose. I'm like, this is the worst day ever.
Can I share my dream?
If you want to.
Well, okay. Actually, this isn't even because it sounds weird because I had a dream about Maggie and I. That sounds awful. But it was Friday afternoon.
We spent a lot of time together.
Friday afternoon, I had a dream that...
a nap dream is an extra
nap
dream.
That Dak Prescott signed. And I was so psyched, I started tearing around the office screaming, Maggie's got to eat tacos. Maggie's got to eat tacos. You were there, Bogus, by the way. And we were like high-fiving because I was like, Maggie's going to have to eat so many tacos. So in my dream, the punishment was tacos.
I think you just wanted a taco probably subconsciously.
We all want tacos.
Always.
But it's a better song than Maggie's got to eat waffles. It doesn't come off the tongue.
Also, thanks for dancing on my grave, basically, like literally dancing in your dream.
I think I saw right before I fell asleep for my nap, I saw a Clarence Hill tweet that like the deal is getting closer, and that was emblazoned on my subconscious.
Man, if I could change this thing to tacos, is there a 24-hour taco
I offered you an
house?
out last week. By the way, I offered you an out last week when things started to look dire.
I know, I didn't take it.
Yeah,
I wanted you to eat the omelets.
You couldn't take it, but yeah, there's really no way out of this. I've been doing the math in my head. There's no easy way to finish this bet.
I know, it's the corn maze of show bets.
Didn't Botcher do the math last week? Is it like 16 waffles get you out after 12 hours?
It is the 2 waffles per hour for about 8 hours.
Well, let me ask, what happens if you eat 6 waffles in the first hour?
You lose 6 hours. That's 7 hours. So then that would be 17 hours left.
Wow.
Yeah. So many hours.
It's a lot of hours, a lot of waffles.
It's a lot of waffles. And do you speed eat the 2 at the beginning of every hour so you have the other 50 minutes to digest? And
yeah. So I did get that good advice when I had to eat a whole pizza many, many years ago. It was as much as you can in the first 20 minutes before your brain has caught up to your stomach. And I did find that was very effective.
And then you threw up all over the studio.
Well, after. But yeah.
Yeah.
What if I throw up at the waffles? Whatever.
Well,
they're used
what
to
if? There's no what if.
When?
Yeah.
When
We're
I
not
throw
pro
up.
bulimia on this show, but I mean, 24 waffles in 24 hours is.
It's not going to be a choice. I didn't choose to throw up the pizza. It just came out. Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. So that's going to happen soon.
I can't. I'm just picturing your son with little scratches on his face after diving through the corn row to get to the end of the maze.
At one point, he goes, "Mommy, let's go this way," and I was like, "All right," because every way I had picked was not working. Like maybe we should just follow a 5-year-old. Maybe he'll get us out of here. But that didn't work. And when I called him, I was like, "I'm stuck in your corn maze," and they said, "Look at the tree line and just cut through," and then it just clicked, hung up.
They must get this call a lot. Can you come get us? No.
No. Then I went and spent $50 on donuts. So, joke's on me.
Ooh, apple cider donuts?
Yes.
Oh, now we are talking.
I know. They were really good. Bogish, thank you so much. Perloff and I will make our pick for Monday Night Football, Jets 49ers. We'll do that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Maggie took a stroll one fine fall day. Through the cornfield she thought she'd find her way. But the stalks were high, the paths unclear. She's been lost for hours, where's the exit, dear? Maggie's in a maze, lost and confused. But the real mysteries, who else ain't been used? Pete's not at work, no, he's missing again. Well, Maggie's trapped in corn, Pete's on vacation, friend. The show must go on, or so they say. But Pete's out of office for the 10th straight day. Well, Maggie shouted help in the corn maze tall. Pete's probably somewhere just ignoring it all. Maggie's in a maze, calling for release. Meanwhile, Pete's out chilling, working on his hand lease. He's nowhere to be found, like a ghost in the breeze. Pete's absences are longer than Maggie's time in trees. She's running circles, her shoes are worn thin. Pete's out in the world with a cheeky grin. Maybe he's sick, they say with a smirk. But really, he's just allergic to work. Maggie's in a maze, can't find a way. He's dodging emails, off for another day. Well, Maggie's stuck in corn, and no end in sight. He's sleeping in, yeah, his schedule's so light. Just remember Pete's missing from his work in town. Maggie's stuck in the maze, but she'll make it through. As for Pete, he's probably snoozing till noon.
.45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff reacting to a big week one in the NFL. Got our college football reaction in as well. Shocking upsets in Notre Dame. Michigan got steamrolled by Texas. So much to do. But we have a game tonight that I want to get your take on, Perloff. San Francisco hosting the New York Jets. The line has moved again. So last night when I went to sleep, this line was 3.5. It's now moved to 4. So moving in the direction of San Francisco. You go first, and I'll tell you where I'm leaning from a betting perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I was so confident in this game on Friday. What happened was more time passed since all the chaos in San Francisco, and you realize it's a Monday night, and maybe they won't be as unsettled as you expect. I still like the Jets in this game with the points because last year they won in the same situation without Aaron Rodgers. I think the Niners are going to be messy. All weekend long, you felt like teams were playing another preseason game in week one, and I kind of expect that vibe from San Francisco's offense, close game.
If you would like to do this on DraftKings, which is what we use, New York Jets, if you take the points and if you parlay that with the under 43, that gets you to, plus 254 if you're leaning that direction. I also like Aaron Rodgers to throw 2 or more passing touchdowns at plus 105. Just a couple of the things we're kind of looking at for today. Anything else?
Yeah, by the way, the Super Bowl hangover thing. I saw a stat. I don't have it in front of me, but the team that loses the Super Bowl usually comes out super flat early in the season the next year. There are a lot of reasons to worry about the Niners. Watch them go out and look like the old Niners. But this is such a good opportunity for the Jets because the Jets are going to be in a brutal division race now. I think all 3 teams are going to be right there.
Okay, so that's a little of what's going on tonight. We're excited about that game. Andrew Bogusch is here with us still because it was a story we didn't get to in the update that we wanted to make sure we got to. And specifically, Perloff wanted to make sure we got to this story because what happened this morning?
So he walks into a little bullpen at like 5:52 and goes, Bogusch, you just see my email. And he's referencing the link that he sent to the story. And I go, yeah, it's in the rundown too. And he goes, remind me what it was about again. So the question was, did you get my email? Could you tell me what was in it?
Well, it's funny because there were 2 emails. I was also going to send you that Taylor Swift was upset about the NFL leaking the news that she was going to be at the game, but I couldn't remember which one I said. Because I said I said a bunch of things.
I only got the one about Terry Bradshaw on Fox pregame.
Right, but you have to understand, we are doing a 4-hour show. There's all sorts of other content ideas flying around besides that one email to you about Terry Bradshaw's comments.
Wait. But that was the question. You started it with, did you get my email? And the only one I got was about Terry Bradshaw. So then you follow up with what was in it. It was pretty startling.
I was thinking about something else. But who cares?
This is also piggybacking, though. I don't know if we should start to get worried about you. You also made a Heisman pick and then didn't remember it 3 days later. Are you all right?
We're going to have Perloff do that cognitive test that they wanted Joe Biden to do.
Let's get to the Terry Bradshaw story, though, because this one is really silly.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no one. I can't find audio of it, but apparently on Fox pregame show yesterday, while they were previewing the season, he said he hasn't been this excited since his aunt taught him how to play spin the bottle.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Now, before anybody runs to some really weird dreams and nightmares, like, it's come up in my house, like, what spin the bottle is.
Are kids playing that still?
I don't know, but, like, if I explain it to my kids what it is, did I just teach them how to play it? And is that what he meant? Like, now he knew what to do when he was hanging out with his teenage friends, now that he was spinning the bottle with his family members?
I hope that's a generous read. I hope that's the correct read. Terry Bradshaw, it could be anything.
It's on the table, right?
It's definitely on the table.
So,
are kids still playing spin the bottle?
I don't want to know.
We didn't do that when I was a kid.
I definitely played it once or twice. And 7 Minutes in Heaven when you went in the closet with somebody.
I heard about that.
Sure you did. Your friend told you about that?
My friend's like, it's crazy in there. I'm like, weird. All right, I'm going home. Yeah, Terry Bradshaw.
You got nothing on this. The story that
you wanted to talk about this.
Demanded in the show.
Your mic's off. You're the one who wanted this in the show.
Oh, you guys think this was an interesting story?
Well, what do you think? Do you think it means that the aunt just explained it to him, or that he played with him?
Nobody knows what it means, but I think it was just funny.
Again. We got it in the show now. We thought maybe you wanted it. You
such a
emailed
stress
it.
to get it in the show. Like, this is a me thing. Why are we talking about me and not the story? I felt like the whole story. You just should have just played the story in one of your updates instead of whatever this was.
You sent it to us, and now you've got no take on it.
Well, that's because you buried the story in the last segment of the thing. I don't even know. You got me confused by the intro to it. Sorry. Wait, Bogus, what's your problem with me? All show you've been coming after me because I said something about the Giants. You're like, no, I am the final word on all things Giants. Shut up, Perloff.
Kaplan also said it's a flex, humble brag from Bogus. He has played spin the bottle. Thank you to Ryan. Thanks, Nick, EJ, Andrew, and Andrew.
You're in a 5-minute break.